Hands Off Our Children will begin in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Father, we come before you right now in the powerful yet precious name of your Son, Jesus, giving you all honor, all praise, all glory. Father, we thank you right now, this time, this moment, this show, God, that we will reach the billions, Lord God. We thank you right now, Father God, as we speak out, Lord God, that we will touch hearts of victims, Lord. And those hearts, God, as you will use us to speak a word, God, that will bring healing, God. Use us as your vessels, Lord, to speak word, God, that brings healing, God, that restores, God, that takes them into who you called them to be. Father, we pray for the families right now, God, who've lost their children, God, who don't know where their children are. We speak a word, God, in the spirit realm, God, that whoever has their child, God, to release them. We pray for total restoration in the home. God, we ask you to put a hedge of protection over those children, Father. God, watch over them, Lord God. God, cook over their minds, over their hearts, God, that when they come back home, Lord God, that they will be able to be restored back in their families with that same love, God, that they will not be robbed, God, of anything that the enemy has tried to do to them, God. We pray right now, God, for the families. We pray for the victims. We pray for those who are even hurt, God, from their childhood of being abused, God. We speak a word of restoration right now, a word of healing, God. Use us, Father, in this show. Every guest, Father, every person that called in, Lord God, we release them unto you. Let their words be words of healing, God, and not words of destruction. We thank you right now, God, for the heart that's in this young man, Koji, Father. Father, I pray, God, that this show here opens doors, God, for him to travel around the world, God. I pray, God, that his heart, that his name, God, will be known all around the world, and you will protect him, Lord. And he will be able to set laws, God, and set things in order and cause Congress to move, Father, all because his name carries weight. We thank you right now, Father, for what you have done and what you're going to do in this time on this show. We praise you and glorify you.
You are now tuned in to Hands Off Our Children radio show. We are now in full effect. Let's get them, y'all.
I'm not afraid.
Yeah. It's been a ride. I guess I had to go to that place to get to this one. Now some of you might still be in that place. If you're trying to get out, just follow me. I'll get you down the same road.
America's trigger-happy policing is back to the fore after an 18-year-old was shot dead in the state of Missouri. Mike Brown, who'd only recently graduated, was on his way to visit his grandmother. Witnesses say he was unarmed and had his hands up when a police officer shot him multiple times. Angry crowds from the neighborhood where the teenager was gunned down marched on the local police headquarters, demanding justice for what they describe as a cold-blooded murder. Tensions reportedly grew overnight, with several cars destroyed and shops looted and set on fire. Mike Brown's killing drew criticism from civil rights advocates over the violent police tactics and racial profiling. As Gane Chichikan reports, police brutality is being seen as commonplace rather than unusual.
Captured on a bystander's camera, New York police suspect the men of selling individual cigarettes.
I didn't sell anything!
Moments later, an officer puts him in what appears to be a chokehold and brings him to the ground, where 43-year-old Eric Garner can be heard saying, "I can't breathe," several times.
I can't breathe.
Eric Garner died lying at the feet of those police officers, leaving behind a wife and 6 children.
My son is missing his dad.
The officer who put Eric Garner in an apparent chokehold has been stripped of his gun and badge and placed on desk duty. The video of Garner's death in July went viral, sparking protests in local communities.
Why has the city not embarked on a campaign that targets 0 deaths of police brutality?
But it's not just New York police that has been accused of using excessive force in recent months. In Arizona, police confronted university professor Ursula Orr for jaywalking.
Stop touching me!
Put your hand behind your back!
I was never asked what my name was. I was never told what I was in violation of.
In California, 51-year-old Marlene Pinnock was walking along the highway when a patrol officer straddled her and began repeatedly punching her upper body.
Oh, shit!
The woman is known to be homeless and reportedly suffering from psychiatric problems.
I think much of the brutality comes from a cultural problem where police officers have kind of an egotistical approach and a power structure where they think that they can get away with almost anything because they are the police.
Video cameras have only captured some incidents, but many more took place away from the public eye. More and more people film their interactions with the police on camera. One officer from New Jersey was caught saying this, someone who argued he had a constitutional right to take pictures in a certain area.
I don't even care about that because Obama has decimated the freaking Constitution. So I don't give a damn because if he doesn't follow the Constitution, we don't have to.
The officer apologized for the statement and resigned.
Yeah, he doesn't have to.
The cases of brutality, well documented on camera, cast a shadow on the thousands upon thousands of police officers who diligently do their work in cities across America. But the hope is that greater public awareness will make some police officers think twice before abusing someone. In Washington, I'm Ganich Chakyan, RT.
I'm trying to be great, and I'm on my way, way up, way up, way up. It's never too late, and I'm on my way.
I'ma leave my mark, ready, set, go, ready, set, go, ready, set, go.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to the Hands Off Our Children radio show. I'm your host, Koji. I want to say what's up to everybody around the world. I hope y'all had a great week, a great weekend, and all that good stuff. Today is going to be a very, very good show. Title of the show today, Violence is Never the Key. Violence is never the key. That's why I wanted to talk about that today. We dealing with domestic violence. We talking about police murders. We talking about, injustice where people are innocent, you know what I'm saying? And then for some reason they get caught up into something, but then it goes too far and a killing comes down behind it. We're talking about, families coming to the aid of the victim that then passed away, where families, everybody's getting involved in a case and what that does to the family structure, what that does to our thoughts of the police and their structure dealing with us. As community people, we feel like, we supposed to be protected. We are not supposed to be scared of the police. And I tell you what's sad right now. I remember when I was young, you would always see kids playing cops and robbers. Nowadays, do you understand that children don't even want to be police? They've been programmed. I'm serious. A lot of children have been programmed from the parents, from the uncles, from the media, from Facebook and everything that the police are bad. I don't believe that the police are bad. I believe some police are bad, but I don't believe all police are bad. I believe sometimes you get in a certain position and things happen. Things go in a different direction. Maybe it could be by the way that you acted towards the cop. Maybe it could be the cop already came to the car with an attitude. Maybe the cop already felt like you was lying or you was already trying to swindle your way out of something. Or maybe he just felt like, you know what? I didn't have my point today and I'm just in one of these moods. It is what it is. I mean, we don't know what triggers the police. We don't know what trigger the people that they pull over to do the things they do. So we're going to keep it 50-50 today, and we're going to really talk about it. You know what I'm saying? Because we do got to be fair, and we do got to talk about it. I know a lot of police personally that I'm cool with, and they tell me all the time, Koji, when we walk up to the car, before we can say what a person done, they already cussing at us. They already saying this. They already saying that. And half of the time, I might have said, hey, you had a tail light out. Here, just get it fixed. I'm just telling you now before anybody else pull you over, and I would have let them go. But when they come off to me like that, it take it in a whole different direction. Now, I have a retired police officer who's in the house with us, and y'all know her. She's no stranger to the show. She's one of our family loved ones here on Hands Off Our Children and Conversations with Koji, Miss Chaplain Tamia Dow. She'll be in with us, and let me tell you something. This lady she's a great lady. She got a great spirit. She come in a studio looking all cute. I think she got a hot date after the show. I'm really thinking that. I'm going to ask her, during the show.
With my mom.
How you doing today, Miss Dow?
I'm doing fabulous. Thank you so much for having me on the show.
I want to thank you for being in with us today. And, you always trying to support Hands Off Our Children. You always want to support the youth. You always want to keep us, smart to everything, and tell us, the ins and outs about the situation with the police force. And you also want to tell us what we can do to keep ourselves safe, but also to keep the police safe, where they don't have to do nothing off of our reaction. Or, if one of them are coming up and we can tell he's got a serious attitude, I can ask you, what should we do in that case where we ain't initiating nothing? Now it's reversed. This cop just came up with, he's probably had a rough day, and you about the 9th car he done pulled over, and he's tired of the BS, and you just happen to just get in his crossfire. You know what I'm saying?
Right, and that's really what's key. I was listening to what you were sharing just a few minutes ago, and that's really what's key. It's what's going on with each person involved.
Right.
So you don't know the backstory. Like, for example, for us as police officers, you don't know what we just came from.
That's right.
You don't know where we were on our way to when we saw you do whatever you were doing.
Right.
You don't even know what's going on at home.
Right.
And the thing is, we are trained as police officers to leave stuff at home. But the bottom line is we're still human.
That's right.
So when we show up on a scene or we show up on a call, we're still human.
Right.
If we roll up on a call and we see somebody that's already jumping off with what we perceive to be an attitude, and it's like, this is our 15th person with an attitude today. And all is just going to, like you even said right there, maybe the person was coming up and just going to say, hey, listen, take care of that tail light.
Right. It ain't that serious.
But the minute the officer rolls up on the car, you like, oh, see, now here y'all go stopping me again and da-da-da-da-da. Okay, now, so you set it off. You know what I'm saying? And the cop was just coming up going, hey, I just wanted to let you know, you guys may be rolling a little too fast. I had to pull you over, or did you know your tail light was on? You just trying to come up with any old excuse to stop me. That kind of thing. And the cop's thinking, wait a minute. I started off cool. I started off just coming up to say whatever.
Another direction.
Exactly.
Right.
That we have that association thing. So you got somebody in the car rolling with you. Oh, here come the po-po. What they up to now? 5 always messing with us. Da-da-da-da-da-da, right? So they talking madness when the cop walks up.
Right.
So now the cop's already going to be, because I'll tell you a key word for us, and this is very true for cops, is we are all about going home at the end of shift. We call it officer safety, okay? Right. So when we're looking at officer safety, our goal is handle this call with this citizen to the best of our ability so that person and I can both go home to our family safely.
But at all times with high precaution.
Exactly.
For both sides.
For both sides.
Right.
So this is why you'll see, let me give you an example. So you have somebody pull up, the cop will pull somebody over. Police officer will say, hey, will you please step in front of my car? Can I talk to you? Or let's stand off to the side. I need to talk to you. Can you do me a favor? Listen, I need to make sure you don't have any weapons or anything on you, because I just want us to be calm between us. I can let you keep your hands out your pockets and relax as long as I know you don't have any weapons on you. Right. Do you have any weapons?
Right.
And the person will say yes or no. But the thing is, I can't trust you. I don't know you. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, but let me ask you this. Even if the person say, no, I don't want you to pat me down, and I don't have a weapon, I know it's your job to know, but I don't. And I'll keep my hands high in plain sight, wherever you want me to keep them. But I don't want to be pat down because I haven't done nothing. I don't know what I'm accused of. I haven't done nothing. We're going to say the person that really hasn't done nothing, but the cop says, get out, I want to talk to you. Well, no, I don't want you to pat me down because I haven't done nothing.
Okay.
So what happens in a case like that?
If it's a consensual stop, let's say, for example, a consensual stop is you're on the side of the street. I don't have a call telling me to make contact with you because of something that you were doing. I just see you at the side of the road and I stop for whatever reason, just to talk to you. That's called a consensual stop.
So in a case like that, you don't have to agree with it. Is that what you're saying?
No, if the person says, if I don't have any probable cause to believe that you have some weapon on you that's going to cause me harm, nor do I have probable cause to be in this dialogue with you, then I'm not going to force you to do a pat down. I'm trying to get a compliant, hey, listen, just for me and your own safety, right?
Okay.
But the bottom line is, if you don't let me pat you down, number one, I'm probably already going to have one of my partners, hey, just have somebody roll by here because you're already, to me, not being compliant. Because all I'm saying to you is, this is for my safety and yours. I don't want to be standing here on the curb with my hand on my gun waiting for you to go grab something. Right. If I pat you down and know you don't have anything, you and I can both stand here, relax, and have conversation like we know each other. You know what I'm saying? Okay. But if I don't know that, we have this thing that's called watch the hands. Because that's what harms us.
But that's why I said I will keep my hands wherever it's comfortable for you. I did say that right out the gate.
Right, but what's reaction time? I'm talking to you from police officer point of view. What's reaction time?
Seconds.
So exactly. So you're sitting here telling me that me and you is cool, right? And then all of a sudden something trips in you and you decide to go for that gun you got hidden down the front of your shirt. Now we both battling for guns. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I don't want to have to be standing there on tense, is what I'm saying. I don't want to be on tense the whole time. Okay. You know?
I like it.
You know what I'm saying? So let's not be on tense.
Better.
You know what I'm saying? I just want you don't have anything. You already know me. I got this big old uniform on and a badge and a gun. So you know what I got. I came to the party with. Okay, I don't know you. You got on a long shirt. You got on whatever, you know. But pat, boom, you're cool. We're chilling. Now we're talking. Right. You know what I'm saying? And I'll walk away from you with a, you know, okay, we have our dialogue. You're just telling me, because I may just want to say, and you know what? We do pat down witnesses too.
I didn't know that.
Not every single time, but we do. Okay?
Right.
So if I come up on let's say it's a shooting, people saying they're witnesses can be shooters too.
Yeah, you're right about that.
So for me to stop and start having a dialogue with you, even to get that basic interview, excuse me just a second, let me just pat you down real quick. You live in this neighborhood? And we go from there. I
never heard nobody say about patting down witnesses. So you just gave us some knowledge, some community knowledge. I've never heard of a witness getting pat down. Never.
Today you're a witness. Tomorrow you may be a suspect.
Right. I hear you.
You know, because I know a little later we're going to start talking about some domestic violence type situations.
Oh,
and the thing is,
we definitely gonna
okay, you could be the victim today, and then tomorrow you're the aggressor.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So nobody gets the freedom hat just because, hey, because a witness can stand there with a knife or a gun on them just as easy as
that's right.
a bad guy could.
That makes a lot of sense, and I love how you're breaking it down. And that's why I wanted you to come in today to talk about this, because like I said, it ain't all about the rah with me, you know, get the police, do this, because it's not every police. But if we can teach people how to be smart and how to defuse some things before they jump off. And don't get me wrong, it's some cops, you know, they real overzealous about their jobs, are about respect.
Yeah.
I got the badge on. That's all it is to it. Shut up, sit down, get back, woo. You know what I'm saying? And that ain't cool. That's not cool. Now you done switch. Now everything you asking me not to do to you, you doing to me. I done been in that position before where I done talked to a cop like it with respect. I'm going to give you the utmost respect, but I need you to bring it down on me because you making me uncomfortable now. You know what I'm saying? Now, let me ask you something. Why when we going to keep it real. That's what I love about you. Me and you going to go there. Why is it when the community says that to a cop, why do y'all feel threatened and we violated y'all because I just said what I said a minute ago? Can you bring it down a minute? It's not that serious. I'm rolling with you. Everything you didn't ask me to do, I done it. It's like you creating a problem. Why is that wrong when we ask y'all a question? But y'all can talk to us like animals. And we supposed to take it.
I hear what you're saying, and it's not correct. And what I need you to understand is that you're talking about individual instances,
right?
You know what I'm saying? Not everybody.
Right. No.
And when we're trained as police officers, we're trained on how to come up and handle situations, how to de-escalate a situation.
Right.
That is our training.
Right.
Now, when you get out there and you in the heat of things, and you got, let's say, for example, even as you were having that, I'm gonna call it a mini rant. Okay, so I'm gonna say you have Mister, why you stop me and this kind of thing. Okay, the police officer has to be aware of 360. Okay, not just me and you talking, but who you showing out for. Okay, and I don't mean to say it like that, but it's for real. You know what I'm saying? Because you're going to draw your own crowd. So now you have a singular, maybe police officer or maybe two, and you're drawing a crowd, and all really this person was coming up to you to do was to talk to you about whatever. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. But why it got to be like this and da-da-da-da-da-da.
No. I said when a cop is coming off to you like it, and no, I wasn't ranting. What I mean by that is the cop was just coming off so rah to me, but I was giving my license. I gave my registration. I mean, I didn't say nothing, and I just asked him, why are you so hostile right now? And so there's no problem with us.
You were sensing hostility.
Right, and I asked him, why are you so hostile when I haven't done nothing and I've given you everything you needed? I'm not no threat. You can run my name. You'll see I ain't been in trouble. I ain't done nothing. Why are you so hostile to me? You know what I'm saying? I asked him that. And then he said, are you trying to tell me how to do my job? I said, no, I'm asking you of what you would want me to do for you. It's to calm down and cool out. And let's just get this over with. And then he was like, you know what? Just give me your stuff. And he walked off and he kept that same heat. Now, I do understand. I don't know what might have happened 4 or 5 calls before he pulled me over.
Right.
Now, when he came back to the car, he pulled me over for my taillight was out.
Right.
When he came back to the car, he said, here's your license, here's your registrations. Get the taillight fixed. Have a nice day. And walked off with that same heat. He didn't give me no ticket or nothing.
Right.
So,
but you still were left with a bad impression because of the whole attitude.
Right. Because I'm like, man, you know, he was so angry. I just knew when I said it. By the way, he said, are you trying to tell me my MF job? I was like, oh, my goodness. You know what I'm saying? I'm thinking to myself now it's going to escalate. You know what I'm saying? So I'm going to chill out because I know where he's probably going to try to take it. You know what I'm saying? But this is what I want to ask you. Even in a predicament where the cops are coming at people like that and they wrong, and if you're defending yourself against a cop like that, how are you still wrong when all you're doing is defending yourself for somebody who done took it too far?
Okay, number one. First off, he didn't give you a ticket. No. I'm not going to say that's to get out, but hold on. Okay, so he didn't give you a ticket. Now, because of his behavior, you had a recourse. You stay calm like you were. I mean, you were a little heated, but calm.
That's what I was supposed to do. If
Hold
I
on,
tell
that's what I'm
people I don't
saying.
hurt, that's what I'm going
to do.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
But I will give you an even better tip. Okay, to our listeners, an even better tip is I don't care how the officer comes at you, you stay calm.
You're right. I agree with that. I really do. I really agree with that because with me being calm, and even though I said it the way I said it, but I said it by the way he was giving me the heat, and I just said it with the same intensity, like, whoa, why are you so intense right now when I'm not causing a problem? I have, you got my license, you got my registrations. I'm not trying to do nothing but cooperate with you. And he looked at me, and then all of a sudden, nowhere he went, you trying to tell me my MF job? I said, you know what, sir, look. This is going somewhere where it don't got to go. All I was saying was, I'm trying to do this the way you want me to do it. I kept my hands on the steering wheel. When he walked to the car, I dropped all my windows down. Mm-hmm. Put my hands on the steering wheel. I turned my car off. I never done nothing to make him bring that heat to the car. That's what I'm trying to say. So.
No, I hear what you're saying, but my point that I'm trying to bring to everyone is that, okay, so you did what you did. You complied.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
You had a little heat in your response is why I'm saying to comply and be calm. Okay. Right. Because your recourse as a citizen of any city, state, municipality, whatever, is they have a boss.
Right.
Just like when you go out to eat dinner, just like, you know what I'm saying? Right. Everybody has a boss.
That's right.
Okay?
That's right.
So you stay calm. You know, you make sure that if somebody's rolling a video on you, you ain't looking like a clown.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right. I agree.
Because you turn around and go to the sergeant and be like, oh, he was treating me like this and this and this. And they say, well, he rolled his video. Because heads up, folks, cops got video cameras now.
Thank
and
God.
so do their cars.
Thank God.
Okay? So.
Long as they stay on.
Well, most of them you can't turn off. Most of them you can. They go to a central center, you know. But anyway, so you remain calm.
Right.
You, just like they tell us as police officers that we need to behave like we're being videotaped at all times, because we're technically in a fishbowl anyways, because that big black and white car is a big black and white fishbowl that people sitting there looking at. You on a cell phone, you doing this, you doing that, you know what I'm saying? They're always looking at us in there. But anyway, so you as the citizen, you behave like cameras rolling. And the thing is, you know what, you guys, everybody got iPhones, right? Everybody got iPhones.
Right.
Okay. And on your iPhone, you have a voice recorder.
Right.
Okay. You know, sir, I just to let you know, I'm rolling the iPhone. I just, you know, I don't know why we're being stopped, why we're together or anything. And I'm being very compliant. I just got my audio recorder on and see how things change. Okay. They shouldn't flip. They shouldn't flip. It should be cool from the beginning, you know, but the thing is, you tell them, hey, you know, you may be rolling cameras, sir. I just got my audio on right now, you know. And if you're doing right, like, for example, when I was on the road, I didn't care who was, because people used to do that all the time. I worked the downtown area, you know, and I worked up there in the Naked City area. And people used to roll through and videotape us all the time. You know, and it didn't bother me because I wasn't doing anything that I would have to defend myself for. You know what I'm saying? I was doing my job. So even if you rolled the tape back on me of something I said, you would never have gotten me calling anybody out of their name. That was something I never did. I even had a man turn around and beefed me because which means he went to the Internal Affairs Bureau on me. because I called him sir. Every time I referred to him, yes. I said, sir, I need you to, I need you to sit down, sir. I need you to calm down. I need you, sir. Okay. Now, other people might have called him out of his name, cussed him out, all this kind of stuff to get him to comply. And I was, sir, I'm going to need you to put your hands behind your back. Sir, I'm going to need you to calm down. Sir, he complained on me, and he was drunk. It was right. And I said, and I'm looking even at the IEB person going, what did I do wrong? What is his complaint? You know what I'm saying? And
Forgiving him respect.
Forgiving him respect, you know what I'm saying? But then other officers, I'm looking at other officers, got the A word coming out and this and this and this, and nobody's saying anything to them because that's supposed to be what, how a cop is supposed to behave. That's not true. That is not true.
No, it's not true. But that's why I said to you when you said a minute ago, well, if I'd have went down there to the police chief and then he'd have looked at it and said, well, you got a little hostile, when I was talking to the cop. But the thing about it was, I was never disrespectful hostile. I was hostile to the point of saying, hey, calm down. It's not that serious. Why? Okay, I just want to ask you, as a citizen and as a person in the community, why should we have to be talked down to when we get pulled over if we are not bringing that kind of heat? That's what I'm asking.
You shouldn't have to, and that's why I'm saying that not every police officer is like the one you described.
No, you're right.
And the only way we can find out about these ones that you're discussing is if someone tells us about these ones.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So if you go ahead and have that encounter with him and just roll off and don't say anything to anybody, then this officer will get a learned behavior that he can just talk to anybody any way he wants to.
I agree. Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But that's why I'm saying it's on the citizen to kind of turn it back around, even if you would have brought down what you said, because the words you used were fine. Are you okay? I don't understand why you're coming at me like that. You know what I'm saying?
When I'm not trying to cause no problem.
Right, but you see how I changed that a little bit. The tone was different. It was like, are you okay? You see what I'm saying?
I still go back to this. Why should we have to change our tone for their bad behavior?
Right,
it's still not right. I get what you're saying. I love you because we do this.
Yeah.
We go back and forth, and I know you telling me from a police, position, of how y'all train and everything. But why does that make that superior over being wrong when dealing with a person that ain't trying to cause no problems? That's not right to me. It's just not. It's just not.
All I can do is tell you the same techniques that we learn to deal with citizens that are angry and aggravated at us. Okay?
Right.
So if someone comes at me angry and aggravated, I'm not going to come to their level with the same anger and aggravation back at them.
Right.
I'm going to take it back in the other direction and bring it down. Sir, I don't understand why you out here ranting and raving. Can you just step over here? Can we talk? Can we step off to the side? You trying to bring it down, not raise it up like you were saying, where you raise it up. You got two guys butting heads, and I'm going to be just as cool as him. And if he put his hands on me, now we're going in the wrong direction.
Right. And I agree. It's not about that. That's why I said when I asked him, what is the problem? I done gave you everything. I let my windows down, my hands on the steering wheel. I never took them off. Why are you coming at me like this? I asked him the question.
And he's not going to answer it.
But he was froze. And then he just cussed at me and took my stuff, went on back to his police car. Then he came up there and gave it to me and said, have a nice day. Get the taillight fixed. Don't let me see his car again without it being fixed.
And that's because you actually did check his attitude by what you said.
Right. And I said, thank you, sir. I do appreciate you. I didn't know it was out. I know you might not believe me, but I will get right on it right now. I went right to Pep Boys because it needed a bulb.
Yeah.
I put the bulb in. And I was very thankful that he let me go. You get what I'm saying? So the more of the story is, I can brush that off my shoulders, that situation, because it didn't escalate bad. And, no matter what happened, he ended up giving me the respect that I asked for by saying, what is the problem? I'm not that kind of person. So he showed it to me in the end. I'm saying, okay, he probably ran my name, said, you cool.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. And that's really how sometimes it don't even get there depending on your attitude.
Right. You're right.
Meaning that if, let's say he started that stop, became, oh, sir, I'm so sorry. How are you today? I don't know why you pulled me over. Is everything okay? Just a different tone when the officers came up. Even if you maybe see him coming up there kind of, you're like, okay, let me bring this down. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Let me bring this down a little bit. Because you have to realize we can influence other people's attitudes.
You're right about that.
We can.
You're right about
so
that.
can they. You know, I mean, it works both ways.
Right.
So that's why I gave you an example. See, because the thing is that you have the unique opportunity of having a female officer on the show. So with a female officer on the show, we have to deal with stuff a little bit different than the male officers do, because they gonna walk up with 6 feet, 220 pounds on a scene. We walking up with 5'6", or whatever,
And 5'6" sometimes can be worse than 6 foot.
Yes, but I'm talking about how we deal with things verbally initially.
Right, but it's some female officers that will come up to the car and they'll be just as aggressive as the ones that 6'4" or 6'5", all because I think they do feel like sometimes, I'm a woman. I'm just letting you know right off the bat. Don't try me. I'm not a weak woman. You get what I'm trying to say. I don't think it's really personal. I think it's a defense thing right off the bat. You get what I'm trying to say?
Well, I think you might. I think you might get that impression, but I don't think that's how. That might be the body language you're getting, but I don't think that's the words that would come out of that woman's mouth that she was talking to you.
No, I said by the body language. But you even just said sometimes their body language can provoke stuff as well as ours, and it is 50-50. But what I'm saying is sometimes the women come up and they really try to let you know that. Just because I'm a woman, don't think it's going to go down any way you might think it's going to go down.
But that's important. I'm sorry. That's part of officer survival for us.
Okay, I understand. Okay, well, see,
I
initiate these conversations so you can teach. Now you're great to teach.
Yeah, it's called command presence.
Okay.
Now, if we walk up on the scene and kind of stand up against the wall, you called us to the scene, and let's go from the car stop, okay? So you called us to the scene, or somebody called 911 for us to come to the scene to handle the situation. So we're not going to come in there halfway. We're going to come in there. Okay, you called us. You said something's happening on the scene.
Ready to do your job.
Yeah, I'm coming in there ready to do my job.
I heard you.
I'm not going to come in there and act like, well, I don't know what's going on, so I'm going to stay off here in the corner and just kind of watch. That's not what you called me to do. You said 911 help. And I came to help. So I'm going to come on the scene and make sure you know who I am. Right. This is male or female officer. Make sure you see my car, you see my uniform. It's command presence. I'm here on the scene. You called or somebody called for me to be here.
You know what I'm
now I'm
do.
here. Exactly.
Right.
So you're not going to, male or female, you're not going to get an officer walk up on the scene and be like, I'm going to stay back here and watch and see what's going on.
No. No. Which, that's not the right procedure, because you're right. If I called you, you come and get on your job.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? You're right. I agree with you 100%. But the more the story is, I just want to find this peace and balance. But with this show, and that's why I asked you to come in, because I really do want to stop the violence. Mm-hmm. But I also want the police to win back the trust of the people, where we don't have to always stay cocked and ready. And now, this is something I'm going to ask you that goes, you're going to teach on this one, because this is a real good one, and I know you're going to love this one.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me the two differences between the pressure of the cop that works down in Naked City and the highway patrol. Now, I want you to teach on this one. They both got two different stresses. I know you might say no, because each stop could be stressful, but down in the Naked City, it's constant people trying to survive. We'll say it like that.
And plus you got to talk Naked City. Naked City, my time Naked City was late 90s, early 2000,
right,
when Naked City was jumping. If you guys listening don't know where the Naked City is, it's down there behind the Stratosphere.
Yeah, right behind the
Used to be the old Vegas world.
Right.
Used to be extremely populated, drug dealing, gang members. Just, it was all time active 24/7. And it was a very dangerous area to work. I like to work it because, number one, I like to stay popping. I work the graveyard. I liked my shift to be running.
Because it makes your time go quicker.
It makes your time go quicker. I speak a little Spanish, and there's a lot of Spanish speakers down there. They didn't know it right off because they saw the black girl come on the scene, and they get to talk in Spanish, and I act like I didn't know what they were saying, and then I'd be like, listen, he sat there and said that the old boy's over there behind the house, and and they just looking at me like, and then they got around, she speaks Spanish. Everybody know I speak Spanish.
Right.
And it was the same like when I worked down there, first started, everybody ran on me because I'm a girl, and truth be told, let me let you know.
So you kept your cardio going every shift.
Come on. But I caught him. Every single one. And there wasn't but one person that got away from me, and he was a fool, because I knew who he was. And I called him by his name as he was running. He got over 3 fences on me before I could, and when it gets too tactically to a tactical disadvantage for the officer
and it's
in the midnight,
too far away from
you know what I'm saying?
Right,
yeah,
right.
you know, I ain't running to let nobody in my day. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I'm going home, right?
Because he really could be leading you to somebody
Exactly.
to get shot down.
Exactly.
And I do understand.
And
that.
there were some great spots in the Naked City for ambushes down there. We used to teach when we train new officers, don't go down this alley because it dead ends. Don't go down this one, you know, this kind of thing. Because that's the thing about officers is we go back alleys, we go back streets. That's how we get around.
Right.
Because John Q. Citizen is hitting the boulevard and getting stuck in traffic.
Right.
We don't have time for that. You know what I mean?
Right.
So we knew the back ways in and nice. But anyway, so in Naked City, you're talking about that versus Highway Patrol. So in the Naked City, we are blessed as police officers to have quite a few people we can call for backup. When we say that the biggest gang in the world, you know, for us, I get on the radio and say I need assistance, and people are rolling from northwest, depending on what I got going on, to come to back me up.
Right.
So that's something I don't have to worry about. And the people who have been in this town for a while, you probably have seen that when we've had some officer-involved shooting incidents and things like that, where some of our officers got injured and things like that.
Right.
People just, you know, you stop what you're doing. There is nothing important. I mean, you be on a car stop and you ain't even finished your conversation with the person. You've moved on now to go back that officer because it's priority. It's like your brother or sister is calling you, you know. So we have that advantage. People here on NHP are very blessed because they too have the advantage of picking up their radio, and being that they're state troopers, they can get anybody from any local police department. When they get on that radio and say something's going on, Metro gets a tone on their radio that says NHP needs help. This is where they are. Boom. You know, so we back each other up very good. We work together as police agencies very well here in Southern Nevada. Now, the reason I mention that is because, I had a very good friend. He passed away in 2006. Shout out to Trooper A.J. White. He passed away in 2006. Anyways, he used to work out in Mesquite. Mm-hmm. That was my buddy. We were tight, right? Okay. But when he got on the radio, oh boy, was miles and miles of road by himself, one trooper on that road. It's like one county, one mounty. They used to have the thing. But he called back up, working his graveyard shift out there, and Metro police officers that worked out there, Mesquite police officers, jumped out of bed, jumped in their car, and rolled to him. Now, you hear what I'm saying about the disadvantage. Yeah. Jumped out of bed and rolled to him versus pick up the radio and people rode to you. Right. So these are some of the disadvantages of a trooper, you know, that's out there on the road by himself because they're rolling one, you know, single cars, and a police officer, even though we roll in single cars here in Vegas. Right. Community police, you know, your partner's probably a minute or two away. Right. And plus the thing is we always know where each other is. Right. So if you go out on a car stop out here at Sahara and Rainbow and your partner car hears you go out on a car stop at Sahara and Rainbow, whether you ask for somebody to come by or not. Rolling by. Exactly. Right. You guys seen it. Everybody who's been stopped by the police, you see it. A cop or car will run by, even if it's another agency, just to see everything cool, everybody cool, that kind of thing. So those are kind of some of the differences that you have between a trooper who's out there kind of one county, one mounty, you know, somewhat. But we're going to be there for each other whenever. And then, of course, we got our air unit that's, you know, always going to help us figure out what's going on. Right.
Let me ask you a question. Like you said, and I want to make it clear right now, you know, to everybody, you know, please go along with the police when you walk up to the car and don't cause no problems. As you being pulled over, if you got tinted windows, drop all your windows down.
That's wise, very wise.
As he's walking up to the car, turn your car off.
He or she,
put your hands on the steering wheel. That's what I do. And have my paper, be ready to tell them where my paperwork is. My paperwork is right here. And if it's nighttime, I always say, can you please shine the light over to this area where I'm going to reach to?
And actually, that's very wise because you're making some points there. The thing is, I told you at the beginning, that was one of my key things. I said, watch the hands, right?
Right.
So we're always watching the hands, but we're not only watching your hands, we're watching your passenger's hands too. Right. So you got to figure our focus is on every possible moving, you know what I mean? Then also we got to be mindful because I'm sure you guys watch the news that officers get hit all the time by cars rolling by, not paying attention, you know, or either paying too much attention and they veer right into the car stop, you know, and end up hitting the police officer. So now you got a police officer trying to pay attention to what you're doing in the car, pay attention to not getting hit by another car and their own personal safety. And then if you got somebody else in the car too, you know, so being very clear and very, like you were saying, here's my hands, you know,
shine the light where I'm going.
Right. I have this in my glove box. Right. If you have any weapon whatsoever in the car, let us know. Do so. Let us know. Because number one, you don't even know why we got the call or why we're out on you. So heaven forbid the call was something about a gun, because we will ask you during the course of our interview. But like I told you before, I'm not going to trust you. I don't know you. So if you do have something in the car, say, sir, I have a concealed weapons permit, or I have an unloaded registered gun underneath my seat in the back. Whatever, just let us know, because you want to do your best for you to go home safely and for us to go home safely. That's the real about the whole thing.
Right. I understand that. Now, what I was going to say, so if citizen do feel like they were treated wrongly, or they went through something that they shouldn't have went through, I'm going to be coming to you in a minute, Fox. Get ready. I feel you over there. I feel you. If somebody has been treated unfairly, what is the proper procedures for them to report it, and what should they do right now so they won't get to cussing, won't get to tripping? Everybody's still going to go home, but if they felt violated, how should they report it, or what should they do?
Well, take really good mental notes of the dialogue of what was actually said, not what you perceive this person said to you,
Right.
but what was actually said.
Right.
Look around and see who's around you. Okay, if you see somebody, let's say you get stopped and you're near an apartment complex or something like that, you saw people at the bus stop, you saw, what I'm saying, those kind of things, just make a mental picture of who was around you. Now, again, I encourage you not to clown to get other people's attention.
And I agree with you.
Know what I'm saying?
I agree with you 100%. Please, everybody, don't clown.
Exactly. Because that'll you behaving like that'll get you, and then you could possibly go for an additional charge for clowning, because there is something called disturbing the peace, and things like that. And if you draw attention to yourself, that means you're loud enough to be causing a disturbance in the area that you're in.
That's
you know what I'm
right.
saying?
That's right.
So, and then people are like, I don't know, the police just made that up. Okay, I couldn't have made it up if you were talking at a normal tone to me, because nobody would have heard what you had said.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So, there is a term that has been used before. It's called POP, which means pissing off the police.
Right.
And I would encourage you to stay away from that one if all possible. That's why I'm telling you to stay as calm as possible.
What about POC?
What's that one?
Pissing off the community.
Let me finish on this one. I'm not done. Okay.
All
So
right.
you're taking that observation,
Right.
you're taking it all in, you're finding out, officer, if the person writes you a ticket, you're going to have their name. So you'll need to ask for it, know. But you can't say every officer has their name on their shirt. Okay. So if you can see it without asking them, don't instigate by asking.
Right.
Because sometimes that does incur more of an instigation. I need to know your name and your badge number. Okay. Now you're already, because you're like, why? I'm just sitting here having a conversation with you, and now you're,
I agree.
you know what I'm saying?
I agree again.
So just look, it says Officer Smith, you're not, okay, thank you. And when you finish, thank you, Officer Smith, thank you for taking the time, stay safe out there, that kind of thing. Now, you've got it all mentally locked in of what happened, what transpired, you didn't quite understand. If they did not tell you, because this is the thing, we are trained to tell you why we stopped you. So if you get pulled over, it's like a script. We got trained in the academy.
Right, that's going to be
Hi,
right
my
out
name
right
is
out the
Officer
gate.
Such and such.
Right.
And I pulled you over because da 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 da. This kind of thing. So if they just want, let me see your driver's license. Okay, wait a second. I don't even know. You just, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
So mental note. Officer never introduced himself. It's so weird because it's almost like, if you ever taken a restaurant survey.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
And the waiter come up to the table, he don't ask you for what you want to drink first.
Right. Or he doesn't even introduce himself.
No, at all.
This kind of stuff. Well, see, this goes back to the day, because the thing is, I was on Metro for 23 years.
Mm-hmm.
So I watched them grow, and we had basically a big community service pitch. And it was, you came up to the card. We actually had green cards that had our names on them.
Right.
And you said, I'm
remember that.
Officer such and
Right.
such and da 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 da, that kind of thing. Now,
Bringing the peace right off the bat.
yes. And the thing is, we were trained at that time to do it that way. And I was part of some of the training that went on in the academy at that time, but that was in the 90s, you know. So now we're into, the second decade of the 2000s, and I don't know if that's happening so much, you know what I'm saying? So I really appreciate the concern that you're showing and how you're bringing this up for the community, because I think this is something I know that the sheriff is open to, things like that. Either one of the incoming sheriffs, I know both of them, the ones that are vying for the position, would be open to that. It takes 2 seconds.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Agree.
It does.
Agree.
Hi,
and I
my
want
name is
peace.
Officer Smith.
Right.
I pulled you over because, your tail light's broken, or I can't see your license plate, or you were swerving, whatever. That already gets you where you're like, well, I can't even start with, why you stop me? Why you always stop? I just explained to you.
And like I said, then that ticket you might have got to walk away from, it will not happen after you start clowning.
Exactly.
It will not happen. So if anybody's just tuning in, this is the Hands Off Our Children radio show. I'm your host, Koji. Title of the show today, Violence is Never the Key. And that's what we're talking about. Violence is never the key. We got Miss Chaplain Tamia Dow in with us. And like I said, she's definitely retired officer. And she's definitely breaking it down and telling us the right and wrongs. But she is being very fair and being very neutral with everything that I'm saying to you. And I do thank you so much for that. And like I said, I think the police officers, the ones that's really doing their jobs and the ones that are making it a better day and safer for everybody. But the ones that ain't doing it, I think they putting a black eye on the good cops.
And that's the vast majority are. And as the ending part I was getting ready to say there is, so you were saying, what do you need to do? So you finish with that encounter with them. And see, I know because I was a supervisor on the road, on Graveyard. So you finish with that, and then you call 311. Okay? You call 311, pull over, go to a coffee shop, whatever. Call 311 and say, hello, my name is Mrs., such and such. I was just stopped by a police officer. I felt like I was treated unfairly. Can I speak with their supervisor? Everybody has a supervisor.
And you said it at the beginning of the show, and I respect that. You're definitely right. You started out by saying, remember, everybody has a boss. Mm-hmm. And I appreciate that. Foxy.
Can you call 311 when you're pulled over by a police officer and you don't know if they're a police officer? So
no, if you don't
call
know,
backup?
Yeah, if you don't know that, okay. I hear what you're saying because there are people, especially if they're plainclothes, okay? Because I'm going to have a hard time on you if a fully uniformed officer in a black and white pulls up on you and you get on the phone calling dispatch to ask them if they're a cop. That I would have a problem with. But if you have, because there's undercover units and things such as that. So if you have somebody pull up you with just a badge hanging around their neck and little lights on their car, there's absolutely nothing wrong with you getting on the phone going 311, but not dealing with the person, you know what I mean? I'm gonna keep my window rolled up till I call 311 and verify that you are who you are, because now you've already accelerated the situation. But if you get on the phone right there and say, listen, I'm being pulled over, I'm trying to figure out if I'm being pulled over for real, you know what I'm saying?
Okay, now we just got through saying that some people do fake as police.
Correct.
Now, I'm gonna leave my window cracked. I might not let it all the way down. I'm still responding. My car's turned off. But if I don't know, you saying even if a person don't know and they unsure of a undressed, police officer, regular dressed person, and they could be in danger, to still let your window down and comply with something you unsure about? And
your phone is open, right? You already made the phone call, right?
No, not yet. I was saying if.
No, do it, because it takes the person a minute to get out the car to come up to you.
Well,
so
sometimes it catches you off guard,
phone.
though. Sometimes somebody, they just whip behind you and hit the lights. First thing a person do is panic, because you go, oh, my God, what did I do? Really, if you know you didn't do nothing. You get what I'm saying? I mean, I know some people might say, well, what would you be nervous for? Well, it really don't make no sense. We got a police behind me with lights on, and 9 times out of 10, a lot of black men, they don't walk back to their cars after they get out and walk to the front of that police car.
Okay, but this is the part you're confusing me on. Are you talking a plainclothes person or a person in a fully marked police vehicle in a police uniform stopping you?
A plainclothes policeman that you're unsure about if that person is really a policeman.
So why is it that we can't make this phone call? This is where I'm missing.
No, we can make the phone call, but no, you're right. But I was saying some people are so nervous that they really don't think about that right off the bat. And that's what I was saying to Foxy, too, is that, the people that do call and do it, until they know that's really a police officer, I'm asking you now, Miss Dow, why can't they leave their window cracked but not roll it all the way down?
I don't think it matters whether it's fully rolled down or cracked or not, if you're on the telephone verifying who they are.
Well, if it's a fake cop and he snatch your phone out of your hand and
no, that's
can
what I'm saying. I
way.
said I didn't see any problem with the crack.
Okay. Okay. I agree with you. Okay.
And you can say this is a honest. You are a citizen, especially if it's a female.
Right.
You know, because I'm telling you, we know there was instances here in Las Vegas where there were people portraying themselves as police officers and making cars. This is very real. This was in the last 2 years.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So, and from what I believe or remember, they were pulling women over.
Right.
You know?
That's right.
So there is absolutely nothing wrong with you picking up that phone, okay? Because now, let's say, for example, you dial 911, that goes to a dispatcher right away. Hello, my name is blah, blah, blah. I'm on the 95 approaching Eastern. I am being pulled over, or a car with lights is attempting to pull me over to the side of the road. I cannot see if it's NHP. I cannot see who it is. I am just concerned to find out before I pull over this car because I am a woman, you know, by myself on the side of the roadway.
Right.
Because NHP has some really cool undercover cars too.
Yeah.
But once they get out, they have their uniforms on.
Oh,
they clearly
That's true.
have a uniform on. Okay.
Right.
So let's say you start that 911 call. Okay. You start to pull over where you can safely pull over. Now you have 911 on the line. You are telling them what is occurring to you. Okay. So somebody's already, if they are in fact not the real deal, somebody is on their way. Okay. And they will let you know. Right. They will say, ma'am, you know, at this time, we are not showing anybody or whatever. And then they will advise you from there what you need to do. Okay. So, but they also may come back to you and say, yes, that's a vice unit. You know, that's one of our gang units. That's da-da-da-da. Because before an officer goes out on a call and makes a car stop, they tell the dispatcher.
Right.
Okay.
I agree with that. And that was great knowledge right there. Now, I want to ask you something real quick. We down to 5 minutes. Oh, I wish we had another hour.
I know, huh?
I love it when me and you get in the ring.
Why you cut me short like that? You know we could talk for hours.
You know what? We didn't try to, but this Oscar Grant thing, I really want you to be a part of it too.
Yeah.
I really want your insight on it too as well. But I want to ask you this real quick. With a lot of officers, a lot of them are really not trying to get in trouble with the community. Can you break this down and explain this to people? A lot of them are not trying to get in trouble with the community. I get a lot of calls in on them because don't that mess up their promotions? If they want to be captain or they want to move up in the ranks, does that hurt their promotions?
Citizen complaints do, yes. They look at you when you're promoting in the department. They need to, especially if you're going to be a supervisor, because you're the one that's going to actually talk about people with bad attitudes and things like that.
That's right.
So yes, it does affect them. So if you're going to make a phone call, just be mindful of that. You know, if it's just somebody ticked you off and they were a little sideways, but then maybe you've dealt with them before and they were cool, then think about it. You know, hey, you know, Officer Brown was rolling me kind of hard today, but you know what? He's usually pretty cool, so maybe something's going on. You know, and you guys might have parted ways a little heated, but you're okay, he's okay kind of thing. Because do bear in mind that, yes, they do. Complaints are looked at.
Okay. And the reason why I said that, because even with the cop, the way, like I said, he gave me heat and he came at me like that. I mean, he came back to the car, his attitude, he had shifted it, and he told me, you know what, go get this fixed. I don't want to see it on the road again because I'm letting you go to get it fixed. Like I said, I went right to Pep Boys because I didn't want no problems, but also if he see me rolling, I want him to know
that you're true to your word.
That I'm true to my word, because you never know when he might have to pull me over again. Like we say on the highway, if I'm just not watching my speed, and I'm speeding, but I really am speeding, and he might say, "Oh, it's you again." You know what I'm saying? And we joke
and I gave
or whatever.
You a break last time.
Right, I gave you a break last time, but you never know. With you getting that taillight fixed and doing what he asked you, he might say, "Hey, look, I know you cool, I know you all right, and it ain't even worth the paperwork. Just slow it down." I'm saying you can also grow that between each other as well, the respect.
Well, let me just do it real quick because I know we're running down to the last few minutes of it. Number one, I want to thank the community for all the outreach they had when we lost our 2 officers in June, because bottom line is nobody should ever have to lose their life while they're sitting down having lunch, you know, and that was pretty traumatic for all of us law enforcement officers. So we thank the community for reaching out to us for that. Also, September 20th was Appreciate a Police Officer Day, which has already passed, but I want to say to our audience, do me a favor. If you get a chance, go to your local police officer, introduce yourself, and kind of get to know him, because you never know how much that changes the interaction with your local police.
Okay. Well, I think a lot of our community need to work up to that. You know what I'm saying? Because like I said,
but we need to be the catalyst. Who's going to be the first one?
We can,
you know?
And I agree with you. What I'm saying is the way I was going to say real quick, the way the news, Facebook, and everything portrays the police, it's a standoff situation with the community. You know what I mean? Like, let me just stay out of their way. I don't want nothing to happen, or I don't want to be looked at a certain way because I'm coming up being too friendly. You know what I'm saying? And so I agree with you. I'm saying,
okay, this could be a whole hour dialogue.
No. But I was coming back around the board saying, let's give it a chance, like you said, because they are open to the meet and greets. That's my point.
And a smile will change a person's day.
I hear you. Okay, there it is. So we're on the same page. I was just coming full circle saying they are open to a meet and greet, and that's something that you just said. So I'm just letting the community know it. All right, you my girl. I got love for you. I wish we had another hour. I love it. So everybody, check us out. We're going into our second hour, but Miss Chaplain Tamia Dow, she'll be with us for the whole rest of the show. And I'm going to find a way to weave in, and we're going to keep it going through all these other shows when we talk about certain things, because I am going to pour to you for community knowledge, all right? So much love to you. Thank you so much. And you're coming back again when you get back in town, right?
Yes, I am.
And we're going to keep this moving. All right, so everybody, we'll be right back. Title of the show, Violence is Never the Key. Violence is never the key. This is the Hands Off Our Children radio show. We'll be right back. You are now tuned in to the Hands Off Our Children radio show. Don't touch that dial. It can change your life.
You need help. This radio show is here. This radio show empowers you. It gives you information. It gives you a place where you can talk about it. Where you can be encouraged and where you can be empowered.
And right now, this show is what we're all about. Setting people free, changing people from the identity the enemy gave them until the identity that God has given them. And this show is this is so perfect. This is awesome.
It's very few organizations like this organization, and I would say any listener, we really need to support it. We need to gather around it and support it, because what Coach is doing right now and everybody there is very unique. And it's not too many organizations like this that kind of really are actively putting it out there, making it really real and relatable, not really washing it down, but really just speaking the truth. So I really, would like to pull at your heart to help support an organization like this. It's very important.
If you would like to donate or sponsor a show, visit the handsoffourchildren.org website and click on the donate button. No matter the amount, your donation helps us with our mission to bring safety to us kids. We appreciate your support. Start saving the millions of kids in the world that really need your help.
Hands off our children. They belong to us. Given to us as a gift. To raise and cultivate their talents and gifts. We love them. Hands off, don't touch like both elbows missing. The mission through the voice of this rap is save our children. Innocent minds and lives on the road to redemption. Sick and twisted, family saying bye bye, baby. Now alert, this world gone stone cold, crazy dreams about to change. Yeah, we go to war, we gon' kill you with love, forgive. It's what we gotta do. Nobody wins in the end. Meet the real truth. Amen. Hands off our children. Yeah, they belong to us. Yeah.
I'm not afraid to take a stand. Everybody, come take my hand. We'll walk this road together through the storm, whatever weather, cold or warm. Let you know that you're not alone. Holler if you feel like you've been
Hands Off Our Children Organization Pledge. We are a village. We don't stand alone. We help our brothers and sisters as if they were a member of our home. This world is too big to walk alone. Hold my hand, as a village we are strong. Darkness is only scary until we turn on the light. A lot of pedophiles will go to prison or the chair if we plan this right. Pain doesn't last forever if you come back strong. As a village, we all can rebuild those that have been done wrong. Kids, run fast, kick, scream, and yell, because in this village, a gang of torches will follow your trail. It's Psalm 64 that we are putting on display. Pedophiles, your freedom is getting shorter by the day. No, we are telling and showing where you live, and your picture is on display. Everywhere our children play. You still have a chance to stop and turn yourself in. Our villages all around the world, tracking you down will never end. We are putting rewards out, you'll get turned in, even by your next of kin. You think you're tough because you hurt little kids? Calling all bounty hunters to get in their bids. Now Hands Off Our Children organization is the village that protects our young nation. Dealing with pedophiles on a daily basis. Court dates, jail sentences, we are sitting in all of these places. As we see your last day of life, you will never forget our faces. Even in prison, the jail guards don't like you, because as a child, even they were a silent victim of someone like you. Keep your hands off our children.
You are now tuned in to Hands Off Our Children radio show. We are now in full effect. Let's get them, y'all.
I'm not afraid.
Yeah. It's been a ride. I guess I had to go to that place to get to this one. Now some of you might still be in that place. If you're trying to get out, just follow me. I'll get you down the same road.
The police chief says Michael Brown assaulted an officer before he was shot to death yesterday. But witnesses say the killing was unprovoked, and they say Brown was unarmed.
Well, here in Ferguson, it's been a very tense situation all day. Around 10 o'clock this morning, police finally gave their side of the story. Until that point, we had really only heard from witnesses that saw this shooting go down. Police claim that Michael Brown assaulted a police officer, the officer that eventually ended up shooting and killing him. They say there was a struggle inside the officer's vehicle, that Michael Brown was shot once by the officer. The officer then got out of the car and fired more shots, shooting and killing Michael Brown just a few steps away from his grandmother's apartment. Now, there have been demonstrations all throughout the day. Yesterday, they've continued today here outside the Ferguson Police Department. In fact, they were going on while the press conference was taking place this morning. The crowd actually stormed the police department where we were inside. They were so loud you could almost hear them over the police chief speaking. There is a lot of anger from this community about what happened yesterday and the fact that there aren't a whole lot of answers being given at this point. The police side of the story is far different than that of the witnesses' side. This is a scenario that is going to play out for probably the next few weeks as we continue to learn more and more. There are more demonstrations planned for tonight and again for tomorrow morning. They're calling for 10,000 people to come down here and call for justice.
I am Oscar Grant's uncle, Cephus Johnson, affectionately known to the community in the Bay Area and across the nation now as Uncle Bobby. We're here because what happened to Trayvon is exactly what happened to my nephew. You know, and so we as a family that has suffered the pain and been in trial to have the first police officer in the history of the state of California to be incarcerated for the shooting of a young man on duty, black or brown, right? We felt it necessary to bond relationship with families, not just here in Stanford, Florida, but across the United States, with those that are losing loved ones to wannabe police officers, security guards, and police. My nephew was killed by a police officer. And so we know the pain. And that pain has now come to where we know to get families through this process, we stand to support them, to give them what we've been through in hopes that they get the justice that they truly deserve.
I'm trying to be great, and I'm on my way, way up, way up, way up. It's never too late, and I'm on my way.
I'ma leave my mark, ready, set, go, ready, set, go, ready, set, go.
Hey, what's up, everybody? We back. Welcome back to the Hands Off Our Children radio show. I'm your host, Koji. Title of the show today, Violence is Never the Key. Title of the show today, Violence is Never the Key. That's what we're talking about today. We're talking about injustice. We're talking about justice. We're talking about right. We're talking about wrong. We're talking about the way things should be handled over the way things have been handled. And this is a very serious show today. And like I said, today, we're going to have no commercial breaks. No commercial breaks for these shows today because it's so intense. I don't want to take away at all from the intensity of the show because I think it's some things that, you know, I really want our people to hear and I want them to keep hearing. I don't want to take no breaks to break your train of thought. I want to thank, like I said, Miss Chaplain Tamia Dow for being in with us today because she's brought an insight to, you know, being a retired police officer, you know, with the way that they're trained, the way that they're taught to think when they're out on the street, because as the community, we don't know what they train, you know, to do the way they train to come at us. But we did hear her say today, it's supposed to be with the utmost respect. It don't always happen, but that is taught first, to have the respect for the person that they pulling over, whoever they dealing with. Now, it don't happen like that all the time, but I want to thank you for being in today and giving us that insight to let the community know it ain't about just pull them over and go crazy. You know, because that's the way Facebook and like I said, the news and everything else, that's the way it seems. So thank you again.
Thank you for having me. And I think it's really important to hear the police point of view because I don't want it to be an us against them. It isn't.
Me either. We're
all citizens of this world and this community.
Right.
You know, and some of us are called to stand on the line and enforce laws. And then some of us are, you know, it brings me back because I'm a chaplain. So Romans 13, when it talks about authority and the rule of authority, and it says that the man who basically, I'm paraphrasing, has nothing to hide, has no fear of authority.
Right.
And that authority is God-given, basically. So when people are appointed as police officers, they're given a higher calling, basically. They really are. Now, what they do with that is going to be how they're going to have to answer to their community, to God, you know, to the higher universe, you know, of what they do with the power that they were given.
Mm-hmm. And see, that's why me and you, we wanted to have this show today to talk about peace. We're trying to bring peace. This show ain't about cranking up no rah-rah, but this show is about bringing out right and wrong and what people should do to right that wrong. If they have to fix it and do it the right way to keep it cool with the community, to let the community know, no, we do care. It ain't that we don't care. This one officer overstepped his boundaries. He needs to be dealt with. It ain't all of us. But if this person stepped out of line and they brought it that way, that's keeping the whole situation going with us versus them, right?
Exactly.
Okay.
Right.
So what I want to do, everybody, like I said, in this hour, we have a very special guest that's going to be on with us. Cephus, Uncle Bobby Johnson, will be in with us in a minute. He's the uncle of Oscar Grant, the young man that was killed at Fruitvale Station. I know y'all have seen it. It's been all in the news where he was handcuffed and the cop pulled his gun out and shot him in the back and killed him. Right, handcuffed, laying there. Now, this is a very, very deep story. And when Uncle Bobby come in, Uncle Bobby Johnson come in, he's going to definitely, tell us what the family's been going through. He's going to tell us how injustice that was. He's going to tell us about the way his family feel about the police right now. He's going to tell us about what's going on with the police that killed his nephew. We're going to talk about what Oscar's mom is dealing with right now. I mean, whenever something like this happens where the police kill somebody innocently, it tears the whole dynamic of the family up. The family's never the same again. No matter, even when justice is taken on the police, that family is destroyed because that child's gone. Now that person is gone, grown person, child, whoever it is. What we trying to do is bring peace. We trying to say to the police, if you're going to do your job, do your job. Don't go over and above and don't play God and take lives of people where you don't have to. Let's just call you back up, do whatever you need to do, and let's just keep it cool. You know what I'm saying? Because like I said, it's all about the community wanting to be able to relate to you guys. Like we want y'all to relate to us. And, when you pull us over and we trying to explain something, can you hear us out before you just start going off? Or when the police pull you over, can you first hear why he pulled you over without you going off on him and provoking him to do something to you? We just want to find a balance. We want to find peace. And Uncle Bobby Johnson, Uncle Bobby is definitely going to break it down to us and say what he feel about the police. Or I don't know what he feel. He might say, okay, well, that was one bad apple who definitely tore up the whole tree. But all cops ain't bad. I don't know what he's going to say. He might say, hey, you know what? That tainted me for life with all of them. I don't know. But the way I'm doing it today, me and Ms. Chaplain, we definitely want to bring peace. We don't want nobody to go out and just be straight vigilantes. You know what I'm saying? We want to try to handle it the way that we can handle it peacefully to keep everybody safe in the community. Because like she said, if it turns into a us against them, it could be bad for everybody and even innocent people and innocent cops.
Right.
So we don't want that. So like I said, when we come back in, we got Cephus, Uncle Bobby Johnson, who will be with us, and he's definitely, going to talk to us about the Love Not Blood campaign and a lot of stuff that he's doing to bring peace right now. We're going to talk about the Trayvon Martin and, the Mike Browns. We're going to talk about a lot of stuff coming up. So like I said, after this break right here, there'll be no more breaks. We going straight in. We're going to talk. And like I said, Chaplain Tamia Dow, she's in. She's going to be chiming in with Uncle Bobby. Foxy, she's going to be chiming in with Uncle Bobby because this is about a community platform. And like I said, Chaplain Tamia Dow, she's a retired police officer. She's no longer a police officer, but she's very fair. She's one of my close, good friends, and I want her to come in because the way she's talking right now is the way she talks off the air to me. If she talked any kind of other way, I wouldn't even have her on because I feel like, no, well, you ain't saying what you say to me personally. No, she's everything y'all hear her say is what she says to me before the show, after the show, on a commercial break or anything. So y'all stay locked in, stay tuned in. I can't wait to get Uncle Bobby in. And I'm very proud, Uncle Bobby, for stepping up and keeping the fire on this situation to make sure that he brings justice for his nephew and for his sister, making sure that, she can sleep at night knowing justice has been served. It won't bring her child back, but nobody got off from hurting her baby. So y'all stay locked in and stay tuned in. And this is about all the youth of our nations. We'll be right back.
Last day of the rest of my life. I wish I would have known because I didn't kiss my mama goodbye. I didn't tell her that I loved her, how much I cared. I thank my pops for all the talks and all the wisdom he shared. Unaware, I just did what I always do. Every day the same routine before I skate off to school. But who knew that this day wasn't like the rest? Instead of taking the test, I took 2 to the chest. Call me blind, but I didn't see it coming. Everybody was running, but I couldn't hear nothing except gun blast. It happened so fast, I didn't really know this kid, the white environment class. Maybe this kid was reaching out for love, or maybe for a moment he forgot who he was, or maybe this kid just wanted to be hugged. Whatever it was, I know it's because we are the youth of the nation. We are youth of the nation. We are the youth of the nation. We are youth of the nation. Little Susie, she was only 12. She was given the world with every chance to excel. Hang with the boys and hear the stories they tell. She might act kind of proud but no respect for herself. She finds love in all the wrong places. The same situation, just different faces. Change up her pace since her daddy left her. Too bad he never told her she deserved much better. Johnny boy always played the fool. He broke all the rules so you would think he was cool. He was never really one of the guys. No matter how hard he tried, with the thought of suicide. It's kind of hard when you ain't got no friends. He put his life to an end. They might remember him then. You cross the line and there's no turning back. Told the world how he felt with the sound of a gat. We are the youth of the nation. We are youth of the nation. We are the youth of the nation. We are youth of the nation. Who's to blame for the life the tragedies claim? No matter what you say, it don't take away the pain that I feel inside. I'm tired of all the lies. Don't nobody know why. It's the blind leading the blind. Guess that's the way that the story goes. Will it ever make sense? Somebody's gotta know. There's gotta be more to life than this. There's gotta be more to everything I thought exists.
We are the youth of the nation. We are
trying to be great, and I'm on my way, way up, way up, way up. It's never too late, and I'm on my way.
I'ma leave my mark. Ready, set, go. Ready, set, go. Ready, set,
Hey, what's up, everybody? We back. Welcome back to the Hands Off Our Children radio show. Title of the show today, Violence is Never the Key. Violence is never the key. And in this hour, we have Cephus, Uncle Bobby Johnson. He's the uncle of Oscar Grant. And he also has the Love Not Blood campaign that we're going to talk about. And we definitely going to keep that Love Not Blood flowing through this whole show. Because like I said, we definitely have to watch out for our community. But can't nobody tell us the story like Uncle Bobby can and his family about a loss and what they went through and what this done to their family. It destroyed their family. It stopped all their lives in its tracks right when this young man got killed. So I'd like to welcome to the show today, Cephus, Uncle Bobby Johnson. How you doing today, sir?
I'm well, Coachy. Thank you for having me.
Thank you, sir. Uncle Bobby, did I say anything that you didn't agree with in the opening, or did I hit it on the nose to you?
You pretty much, I just want to clarify one thing. You did say it destroyed the family, but I'll say it actually destroyed our belief in a system that we have found to be unfair, but it actually has built strength within the family and caused us to come together closer, understanding just how valuable life could be.
Yes, sir.
You know, within the family.
Yes, sir. And I meant you no disrespect when I said it, but the point I was making was that anytime a young family member is taken from any family, that does destroy the family. That's a wedge, you know, in a family's heart. You know what I'm saying? Right. That shouldn't have been there. That's all I was saying.
Right. I understand. Yeah.
All right. Well, I just want to tell you straight out the gate, my blessings and my love go to you and your family from me and my whole team here in the studio today.
Thank you. We appreciate that, too.
All right. So, Uncle Bobby, I want you to definitely bring our listeners up to speed who might not know about the case, because even my board person right here, she never heard about the case that we're talking about today. She never heard about it. So can you bring our listeners up to speed about your nephew and what happened at Fruitvale Station?
I surely can.
Thank you, sir.
And I'm just going to share a couple of notes so that as I tell the story, you can understand maybe why some people missed it.
Yes, sir.
On January, I think it was January 19th, Obama was being inaugurated. During that similar period, Conrad Murray was being charged for the murder of Michael Jackson. Mm-hmm. Also, LeBron James, as we know, was leaving Cleveland to go to Miami.
Right.
So we had all this distraction by mass media to cover up a situation that was really heinous in our society today.
And it got swept under the rug.
On January 1st of 2009, Oscar Grant, my nephew, and a young man named Adolph Grimes out of New Orleans, and a young man named Robbie Tolan out of Belvedere, Texas, was all shot in the back approximately the same time on January 1st, about between 2 o'clock and 2:30. Oscar, as you know, died. Adolph Grimes died. Robbie Tolan lived. And you can, look these names up just to verify what I'm saying. Anyhow, what happened with Oscar, on January 1st, 2009, he was on the Fruitvale BART train coming back to the Fruitvale BART station. Allegedly, a commuter on the train said that there was a black Latino gang fight. Now, there was a little tussle. Oscar and this white boy who he had knew in the neighborhood he grew up with, they just really never got along. They attempted to wrestle in the train, but the train was so packed that it was squashed. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. They just kind of broke loose and went about their business. Where the commuter said there was a Latino black gang fight, and that put the BART station police on alert. Now, they assuming that, remember, this is New Year's Eve. So you got people partying, out, doing things. So the BART police officer, Tony Peroni, comes up on a platform. The train is held at the station. He testified that he went on a hunch when he saw 5 black men, or they call them BMs, standing close to a door toward the front of the train. Oscar and Michael Greer saw him coming with his taser out, looking really aggressive. They step back on the train. He hollers out to Nigel Bryson, Jackie Bryson, and Carlos Reyes to get against the wall. And he pushed them against the wall, and then he began to use profanity. I know we're on the air, so I'm not sure how open I can be about this.
You can be open. I want you to go on and be open.
Okay, so Tony Peroni yelled in the train, "Get the fuck off my train. Get the fuck off my train." Now, remember, this train is packed with people. That's why all these video phones came out, because the recording started because of his hostileness toward the young men. So Oscar, of course, stepped out the train. He put his hand behind his head and shoved him to the wall. Michael Greer decided not to get off the train. He said, "I'm going to tell you to get off my fucking train one more time." And Michael thought he didn't see him, but he went in, grabbed Michael Greer by his dreadlocks, pulled him to the door, and he did what you call a hair pull takedown and slammed it to the ground, where everybody on the train, the commuters, as well as all of Oscar's friends that was against the wall, exclaimed, "Wow, I mean, what is this about? This is wrong," because the abuse was taking place. So as Tony Peroni jumps on Michael Greer's back, he handcuffs him. And he's testifying that he did a hair pull takedown because he said Michael Greer appeared to resist him. Anyway, it agitated not just Oscar and his friends, but all the commuters. So now people are videotaping everything that's happening, because we got to be clear that this was all documented on videotape. And as he came back to Oscar and them, he began to say, "Well, who was on the train fighting?" Nobody was fighting. And so what he ended up doing is going to the train agent and asking the train agent who was involved in this fight. The train agent made it clear that she did not know, because she could not see who was involved in a fight. There was never a fight on the train, and we have to be clear about that. So as he goes back, he tried to investigate. He tried to find out if somebody had been hurt. Nobody could point to who was in this so-called gang fight. It was never a gang fight. In the meantime, Oscar and them are standing against a wall, and his partner, Marisol Dominici, and this is where you have to understand, Marisol Dominici is his partner. Marisol Dominici is a married woman. Tony Peroni is a married man. They are in a relationship. So as Marisol Dominici has her taser on Oscar and his friend, they, jokingly say a few things to her, and Tony Peroni charges them to protect his woman and punches Oscar in his face. Now, they didn't call her out her name. They didn't say anything negative to her. They was asking to see a supervisor. Right? Tony Peroni took it upon himself to believe that they was disrespecting his woman. He shouldn't have never had a relationship with his partner anyway. Exactly. And then he charged them, and as I said, punched Oscar Grant, my nephew. You can see all this on the video, because everything is documented in what I'm saying.
Uncle Bobby, hold on one second. Where can people go see this video? Because I want them to go see it right now as you telling the story. We don't want to miss a beat with this. Where can they find that video at so they can go watch it right now as you telling the story?
Right. Anyone that want to see the video can go to YouTube and just YouTube Oscar Grant shooting. That's all you got to YouTube. And you'll see many videos come up, because remember, there were several videos taken. So there's other videos too that's on the platform. Some are more clearer than others. But the best one I'd like to send all your listeners to is MSNBC Caught on Tape Oscar Grant. That is a clear-cut piece that you can see that was done by MSNBC to show what it's like to be caught on tape in the wrong.
And can you say it again?
Listeners can go to MSNBC through YouTube, Caught on Tape, and then see what happened with Oscar Grant on that platform.
Okay. All right.
So, and of course, and also, I'm kind of jumping ahead, there was a movie that came out behind the murder of Oscar Grant called Fruitvale Station.
That's right.
So if you haven't seen the movie Fruitvale Station, or if you have seen the movie Fruitvale Station didn't really focus on the tragedy. It focused more on the humanity of Oscar having a right to life.
That's right.
Some of the things that we experience as young men, black men in this community, in this society. But now back to the scene on the platform, as Tony Peroni punches Oscar and he goes down, in the meantime, Johannes Mesley and Officer Wolfington, who were two other officers at the West Oakland bar station, allegedly handcuffed a young brother who allegedly had a gun. Now, remember, they had a whole different station, but they also got called to come to the Fruitvale bar station because of a black Mexican gang fight. So they were going to be the backup. In the meantime, they handcuffed the young brother, They put him in an ambulance because he jumped off the platform, broke his leg, and then they proceeded to the Fruitvale BART station. On their way to the Fruitvale BART station, they testified that they felt that they were going into combat. Mesley testified that his girlfriend was getting ready to give birth the next morning, and he wanted to live to see that baby. So I'm just trying to give you a picture of what their state of mind might have been like on their way to the platform, or was like. When they came up that platform, Johannes Mesley had his taser out. He immediately began to bark commands to even some of the commuters that had came off the train, heckling the police officers for being so abusive in their behavior, shouting, "That was wrong, that's unnecessary, that just shouldn't be happening, you know, we got you on camera, motherfuckers," you know, just saying all types of stuff to them because they were caught. But as Johannes Mesley entered that platform, he pushed people back, he pointed his taser at Oscar. Oscar said, "Please don't tase me, I got a daughter, don't tase me." He went on to proceed to put his taser on Oscar's groin, like he's going to tase him there. Oscar like, "No, don't tase me." You know what I'm saying? This is the intimidation that's happening down on that platform. So then, you know, a few more things transpired. Tony Peroni felt as though Oscar was asking too much because he wanted to see a supervisor. You know, and I heard a little bit about the speaker in the last session talking about asking for a supervisor. All he was asking for was a supervisor, but he was talking too much. So Tony Peroni then told him he was under arrest for making that request. So Jackie Bryson and Oscar now is getting ready to be put in handcuffs. Mesley's putting handcuffs on Jackie Bryson first. Then Tony Peroni turns to Oscar and says that one too. Now, they hadn't done anything. They hadn't hit no police officers. They was making an appeal to speak to a supervisor. Tony Peroni stands over Oscar and calls him a bitch-ass nigger twice. He tried to testify that he said Oscar called him a bitch-ass nigger first, which you cannot hear in the video, but you can clearly hear him saying, bitch-ass nigga, huh? And then Mesley throws him to the ground. Oscar's on his knees with his hands behind his back to be handcuffed. Instead of Johannes Mesley handcuffing him while he's on his knees, he throws him to the pavement of the platform. Oscar then is on his stomach. He's rolled over on his back. I'm sorry, he's on his back, then he's rolled over on his stomach. Tony Peroni puts his knee on his neck and pushes his face through the concrete floor. He cracked the bones in his face. Oscar said, I can't breathe. Tony Peroni, 6'1", 250 pounds, ate a lot of steroids, Marine, he was in the military, ex-Marine. Johannes Mesley is 6'7", 270 pounds. Oscar's 5'9", 160 pounds. So anyway, as they're on top of Oscar and he's saying he can't breathe, Johannes Mesley puts Oscar's arms behind his back. Then he stands up and shoots Oscar center mass in the back. The bullet goes through his body, ricochet, pierces his lung, opens his lungs up. You know, of course, Oscar now is bleeding to death. Tony Peroni asks, what happened? Johannes Mesley says, Tony, I thought he had a gun. This is all testimony that I'm saying. I thought he had a gun. So, remember, he came saying that he wanted to live because he wanted to see the baby. He was not going to allow a black male that he believed had a gun and pull his taser out. Of course, later on, he came up with the excuse that he felt that Oscar had a gun and he wanted to tase him, and he mistakenly pulled his gun out by accident. But we have to be clear that had it been an accident, there was no culpable reason or no legal restraint to keep him from apologizing the moment it happened, or the day after, or even the week after. He never apologized if it was a mistake. But he also continued to say that he believed Oscar had a gun. There was a piece of documentation that asked about an officer shooting that had to be filled out. And it asked, was this an intentional shooting? And he stated yes on the paperwork. I'm just giving you documents, evidence that was used and some was blocked out in the trial. So it's not no mistake that he pulled his gun out and shot Oscar in the back. That's all on video. The question was, what was his state of mind in him pulling out his gun, or did he really mean to pull out his taser? Well, if we back up for a minute and we take a look at his history, he was on the BART Police Department 2.5 years. In that 2.5 years, he had 4 altercations with young black African-American men. This man is 6'7", 270 pounds, and had a consistent problem with little black men. They all appeared to be a threat. On the 3rd incident, he was reprimanded by how he handled that arrest of that young black man. The 45 days before Oscar was murdered, he beat up Kenneth Carruthers and put him in the hospital. Then on January 1st of 2009 at 2:11, he shoots my nephew in the back. And I need to make this clear. When he came up on that platform, he was only on the platform for 2.5 minutes before he murdered Oscar Grant. Now we have the shooting of Oscar. We kind of have the scene of what happened on that platform. I've given you some of the testimony that happened in the courtroom. And, of course, what transpired after that was identical to what happened in Ferguson. I need to make this clear, too, that Joe Hedges Messenger is the first officer in California state history to be arrested, charged, convicted, and sent to jail for shooting, while on duty, a black or brown man or child or young man.
Right.
First officer in California state history. So we need to ask this question. Is every shooting of a black or brown man
justified
in the state of California or across this nation always justified?
That's right.
We can ask that question with Michael Brown. We can ask that question with Eric Gardner. We can ask that question with Romali Grant. I mean, I can go on with the names and the names, but it's always alleged and stated by the police that they felt imminent danger, or they felt that this was possible imminent danger to the community because of this person, the way he looked, or he appeared to be maybe in the engagement of pulling a weapon out. And yes, we know young men may run from the police, but that doesn't justify shooting them in the back 6 and 7 times.
That's right. You definitely right about
and
that.
they pulling up their pants while they running away.
Right.
But yet we got young men getting shot in the chest, in the face, like Michael Brown, in the top of his head with his hands up.
Right.
And so I'm kind of deviating because, this is really a serious business that we're talking about. But we got to ask the question, are black officers shooting down black men and white boys consistently every 28 hours on a regular basis, as we see in the white police officers killing our children, our babies? No. We know how, and the officer that you had on earlier knew how to engage us black males or us black females.
Right.
She know how to talk to us, to rate with us, and diffuse a situation.
Right.
Many of these white boys today that are on the police force are ex-military. They brought that same training and that mentality into the hood. And they think that they're still in combat in the way they're treating our babies and the way they're killing them.
Right.
And they're just murdering us, as you know, every 28 hours. And it's really less than that now.
So, Uncle Bobby,
yeah,
what you're saying is every time they come up to make a traffic stop with us or they deal with us, it's all about power and control. Right off the bat.
Right off the bat. If you look like you're going to do something, chances are you might lose your life. We got to have a talk with our children when they're getting ready to, especially our young men, when they're getting ready to get their driver's license start driving. Because we know that if they make the wrong move,
they could
their
encounter this.
Existence is dependent on what they do at that time in that stop.
That's right.
And so when it comes to a white officer engaging a young black man, it's more likely that young black man is either going to get his head cracked or killed.
That's right.
But when there's a brother officer approaching, now I'm not going to say they're all good black officers, because we know they're not. But we do know that black folks have a better understanding of how to deal with us when we speak emotionally.
Right. Right. But you know what, Uncle Bobby, let me say this. Sometimes if that black officer have a white officer with him, things are going to be different. Because
you're absolutely right.
And why I say that is because I done seen this with a lot of different young men that then came and talked to me about, because I do these shows. So a lot of black men that came and told me the black officer was cool. The white officer came. They don't know what happened. You get what I'm saying? It went from my brother, I was talking to you a minute ago, and then the officer saying, my brother, don't address me as my brother. You know what I'm saying? You address me as officer so-and-so, so-and-so. So that's why I'm saying sometimes I think the point I'm making is I feel like, and I want to come to you next, Miss Dow.
Quite a bit.
I know. I want to come to you next on this real quick. I want to say, I think the black officers, if they know that the white officers don't understand the lingo and that black men don't mean nothing by it when they say my brother, this, that, and the other, it ain't disrespectfully saying my brother. That's just a slang of saying like my man, my brother, that's showing, no threat if they ain't using profanity and bad language. That's all I'm trying to say.
Let me just throw this in here before your other guest speak.
All right.
Matter of fact, it is not against the law to cuss at a police officer. You could call a police officer a motherfucker, why you stop me? And that officer does not have a right to pull that belly club up and crack me upside my head and shoot me. You see what I'm saying? The officers are trained to diffuse any kind of situation when it becomes, a young man cussing belligerently. You don't diffuse the situation by using your abuse of power. So young men might not have no respect for the police officer. We don't suggest that you disrespect the police officer. Nobody does that because there's too many of us dying.
Right, that's what I was going to say. Right.
But we do know this generation we have no, no fear.
No filter.
And so if they feel like they're being stopped and, it's my tail light, I got a driver's license, everything is legit, and you still want to hold me, motherfucker, what's wrong with you, right?
Right.
That don't give that officer the right to kill me.
Right, but you know what, Uncle Bobby, what we want to say right out the gate right now, me and you, we do not want them to use that kind of profanity when they pull it over right now, because they are losing their lives at an alarming rate. But we don't even want you to be able to go to jail and get a picture and get fingerprinted. We want you to just stay away from jail altogether.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
We always advocate, keep your mouth closed.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying?
And do what they ask and go
all
home.
Your movement as possible, because the way the day is, if you look like you're going to be threatening, you could lose your life.
Right. Let me do this, Uncle Bobby. Let me go to Chaplain Miss Tamia Dow.
Hi, first off, I want to send condolences to you and your family on your loss.
Thank you.
In listening, and I have been quietly listening, and of course my heart is breaking over the whole situation, because I think some of the things we're missing is, and I hope our audience knows, I'm a black female police officer, and I was even talking with Koji on the break and letting him know that even when I'm stopped, I still have to deal with that. I'm still black, and even our black male officers. Yet, like you advised your audience, you do have to watch how you speak to someone, because it's not, for us, even as cops, it's not a get out of jail free card because I'm a cop. When that person approaches you, you still need to let them, show them some respect, let them go through their procedure that they're going through. And then usually by the way they find out I am one is either they ask me to, produce something where I have to advise them that I'm armed, that kind of thing. And then they, then they'll figure out, or I'll tell them actually why it is that I'm armed, etc. And for the most part, I have not had bad encounters, though I live in a particular area of a town here in Las Vegas that is predominantly white. And I was pulled over one time for absolutely no reason. And the kid was so nervous. He was a young guy, and he could not tell me why he pulled me over. And I had to give him a little bit of a schooling, telling him, you don't realize who you're pulling over, and you need to have a reason for pulling people over. But bear in mind, that was quite a few years ago. But let me come back to this. I really want to talk to the audience. One of the key things is I point out I'm a black female police officer. In pretty much our society, and I know that it's come out in Ferguson, is that there is not an adequate representation of minority officers in the force. The other comment that was made reference a black officer being cool when they initially came, and then a white officer kind of changing the flow or whatever. The thing is, I say minorities are in place on the police department for several different reasons, but a lot of them is, number one, to show the police themselves, the inside of the police themselves, that all black people are not, or all, whatever ethnic group are not this way, because, for example, when I came on my police department, I came from the military, as was described. Right. I was a military officer and had a college degree. So I was more educated than all of the people that I worked with or for on the police department. And I was still told, because I was the second black female to come on my police department, that I had taken a white man's job and didn't deserve to be there. I had black people in my own community, because I worked the West Side when I very first started on the police department. I had citizens actually say to me, don't you let them make you quit, because they watched how the white officers were treating me to try to cause me to leave. And thank God he got me 23 years, through and on to retirement. I really praise God for that. But with that, I have insight into these behaviors that you are speaking of, because I went through a process of what you call field training, where you are trained by other officers on how you're supposed to speak to people, how you're supposed to behave. Now, I know, sir, you were listening to me on the earlier hour when I was saying that I had a person beef me for saying sir. I absolutely refuse to cuss people out. I absolutely refuse to call a person outside of their name if, in fact, I did know their name. And until I did know their name, it was sir or ma'am. That was my example that I set for the people who worked with me. My coworkers knew that when I rolled up on a scene, that if they were already in the midst of acting a fool, basically talking to people crazy, that I would come there and quench that very quickly. I didn't care what race you were. If they were even talking that way to white on white, I would still, because I would not put up with that. And that was even when I was not a supervisor. That was just me, as just a regular police officer coming up to back somebody or help deal with a situation. So the same way you say that someone can arrive on a scene and escalate a situation, someone can also arrive on a scene and de-escalate the situation. And that was something I had the opportunity to be able to do while I was on the police force and on the squads and the situations that I was in. Now, the other thing that Koji has said was he had said something about kids are not saying now that they want to become police. And this hurts my heart, and I'll tell you why.
A lot of them tell me,
and I'll tell you why. Because that's not the answer. Okay, I'm retiring. Quite a few of my other colleagues that are black or have done their 25 years and are retiring.
That's not helping us when it comes to the situation.
Exactly.
I see your point.
So we need to get these young men and women of all ethnic minorities out there for representation, because you're correct. It helps to know how to deal with the community.
That's right.
And that young man that you were saying, the black man started off talking, okay, we were good, this and this and this, and then the white guy came up and he can't talk to you like this and da-da-da-da-da. He needs to be schooled. Even though he's a senior white officer, he needs to be schooled. Right. Now, I was lucky I had two different ones. When I was working the West Side, I had an old school white officer that the way he talked to the citizens on the citizens on the west side of town, which in Las Vegas is predominantly black just at the time that I was there, he was so welcomed by that community. People would have him in for coffee. He was just real. You know what I mean? He was a white man, but he knew how to deal with the black community. And I think this is key, that so many of these officers do not realize or are not learning how to deal with the ethnic groups that they are serving. I served a unique ethnic group when I worked Naked City, because I served the Hispanic community and I was black, So yeah, I have quite a few points, sir. I really respect what you're saying, and I have some police points too, but I understand we're coming up on a break.
No, what we got to do, we got to go to him. We got to let him get it in real quick.
Gotcha. Okay, gotcha.
Okay, we'll be coming right back to you.
No worries.
Good points. Uncle Bobby, what do you think about what she said, and give me your answers, to what she said.
Well, nobody said that there isn't good officers, but we also have to be clear that if the good officers fail to tell on the bad officers, then they all look bad.
That's right.
And I really appreciate the fact that she shared that if she came up on a scene and seen the officers acting way beyond their real form of duty, that she would put them on check. That was one of the things that was argued in the criminal trial on what happened to Oscar Grant. If an officer comes up on the scene and they know an officer is acting beyond his call of duty, the officer has a responsibility to stop that officer from acting that way. But if we speak truth, we know that don't happen. If an officer is acting way beyond scope of his duty, most officers coherently follow suit. That's just the reality. And so what we have here is a system that is totally corrupt to the core because of this blue line, code of silence, and the protection that takes place between police officers. And so many young people, this is just the reality of it, many young people see the police as the biggest gang on the planet Earth.
That's right.
And because these young men are seeing this and what they're experiencing, none of them is talking about being a police officer. You know, now here's Tatiana, Oscar's daughter, 7 years old, 2 years after he's murdered. She riding in the car, she see a police officer. She tells all her little cousins to duck. We have a generation of babies hearing the police. Now look at this picture. Michael Brown laid in that street for 4 hours, about an hour and a half, 2 hours, uncovered.
That's degrading.
And when we spoke to children that looked at his body in the street, and we asked the question, how do you feel? He put his hands up and they still shot him. You know, everybody know the hands up is a universal sign meaning surrender. Children understand that, and yet they see an officer still shoot a young man that say, I quit, I surrender, don't hurt me, and yet be killed. That's automatic fear in those children. So, of course, these children are going to say the last thing they want to be is a police officer because of the conduct and what they're seeing. And we got to say this, that the escalation of police crime on the community has skyrocketed. It's off the chain, and we're going to attribute some of it to the new technology. Everybody got a phone. Well, if officers want to be held honest, they all must wear a lapel camera. They all must have a camera in the car that can validate what they say when they make an arrest or stop a person or even beat a person down or shoot them.
That's right.
If they don't have that documentation and they're wearing it, then there's no excuse why they should not be fired and incarcerated for the murder or the police brutality or harm that they brought on the individual.
Just like anybody else.
Just like anybody else. And we got to speak to this also. The Peace Officer Bill of Rights is a piece of legislation that came through Congress to protect police officers from their own personal superiors. However, that Peace Officer Bill of Rights actually is protecting the rogue police officer from being held accountable for murders like what we had with Michael Brown. We have to really just speak the truth to this issue. No young man, and I'm not going to say all young men, but I do believe this, the majority of us, especially people of color, have come to hate the way the police officers conducting their business in our community.
That's right. Now, you know what, Uncle Bobby, let me ask you a question. You definitely hit that on the nose. Now, this is something that I want you to answer because this is what I thought to myself. The way they left Michael Brown laying in the street, it was almost like them saying, this is an example of what's going to happen to anybody who step out of line or anybody who try us. We'll leave him laying here like this. And, hey, this is an example to all the children in the neighborhood and everything. This is the value of what we think of you all. That's the way I felt about it.
Can I add to that?
Yes, you can.
Yeah, right. Officer Darren Wilson was assigned or was with the Jennings Police Department. The Jennings Police Department was a municipality close right next door to Ferguson. They disbanded that police department because of the pervasive raciveness of how they was conducting their duties in the community surrounding Ferguson, Jennings, and all the other municipalities over there. They disbanded that whole police department. He got hired by Ferguson. He took that same personality into Ferguson. The community there knew who Darren Wilson was. It wasn't like he was a stranger that was his first time. He was one of those officers that the community feared because of his conduct. You know, and then they hired for Jennings, I'm just jumping back to Jennings, they hired a whole bunch of new officers hoping that they got rid of that express racism that they had. But they actually didn't get rid of it because the culture never changed. You see what I'm saying? And so, anyway, Darren Wilson took that same attitude into Ferguson, along with other police officers, and created the hysteria that we felt. And so when Michael Brown was left in that street, it was like, we want you to understand we can do this and get away with it if you don't listen to us.
You're right about that.
I mean, it's like slavery was when the lynching was taking place.
Right.
We was hung in these trees so people could understand that if you got out of line, you'd be next hung up in this tree.
Yeah, you know what time it is.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And so we have to speak truth to this issue. The reality is that we have a system now that has been allowed to perpetrate crimes on innocent babies. We got children being murdered by police officers, and they're not even held accountable.
Spraying mace in their face, everything.
Clear police officers are raping, killing, robbing banks. I mean, extorting, pimping. All that stuff is going on more so than ever before in the police department. And no disrespect to your guest, but I'm sure it might not have been as prevalent as it was in her days. But today, these officers are off the chains. A lot of them are sick. So how can anyone with a decent sense of thinking want to be a police officer that is blatantly being seen killing people innocently?
You know what? I get what you're saying. 100%. You definitely right about that. Now, let me do this real quick because we're on short time. Uncle Bobby, this is what we're going to do. We talk to our guests, and we're going to reschedule our guests. Can you stay in with me for the next hour?
Yeah, I can stay with you for the next hour.
Okay, I want you to, because it's a lot that's being said, and it's a lot that we need to talk about. Because like I said, I also want to talk about your foundation, your organization, everything that y'all doing. But real quick, Ms. Dow, I want to say something to you.
I'm looking at and listening very carefully to what you're saying. And, just to let you know, I've only been retired less than 2 years, so it's not like it's changed that much in 2 years. But I really think it's important, and we're going to talk about it in the next hour, is that our hearts need to change reference how to deal with this mentality that we're talking about that is pervasive in the police department. And I believe that the most important way for us to deal with it as citizens of whatever ethnic background it is to join the police force. And I'll talk more about that in the next hour.
All right. So what we're going to do, Uncle Bobby, we're going to take a break for a minute. We're going to cross over into our third hour, and we're going to come right in, and we're going to get right back to the topic. So write down whatever your thoughts are. Everybody in here is writing down their thoughts right now. So when we come back in a few minutes, we going right at it all the way to the duration. All right?
All right.
All right. So everybody, if you're tuning in, it's the Hands Off Our Children radio show. I'm your host, Koji. Title of the show today, Violence is Never the Key. Violence is never the key. We got Cephus, Uncle Bobby Johnson in with us. He's Oscar Grant's uncle. And I want y'all definitely to stay locked in and tuned in. And I want y'all to finish hearing this show. I want y'all to have pens and paper, take notes. I want y'all to understand what we're saying. And always know this can happen to anybody. But we're trying to tell y'all how to play it right so we all can come home at night. All right? So stay locked in and stay tuned in. And we'll be right back in a quick minute.
She might act kind of proud, but no respect for herself. She finds love in all the wrong places. The same situations, just different faces. Changed up her pace since her daddy left her. Too bad he never told her she deserved much better. Johnny boy always played the fool. He broke all the rules so you would think he was cool. He was never really one of the guys. No matter how hard he tried, up the thought of suicide. It's kind of hard when you ain't got no friends. He put his life to an end. They might remember him then. You cross the line and there's no turning back. Told the world how he felt with the sound of a gat. We are the youth of the nation.
Don't touch that dial. We'll be right back after this commercial break.
Thank you for giving me this opportunity, Coach. I really appreciate it. Wish it was more people like you that would, be willing to have organizations like ours on to bring exposure to people at a level where, some people may not be so aware of. I admire you for that, because many more people need to hear it, and many more communities need to really hear it as well. It's like sometimes, some social justice things are only limited to a social justice community, but it's good, to have shows like yours that reaches such a diverse community to put this out so that, you know, people that may have never considered it will really look at it.
Well, first of all, Koji, I want to say thank you. It has been our privilege to be a part of your program today and the excellent work that you're doing in the community to bring this issue to the forefront and help educate people about the importance of protecting our kids. In addition to that, always remember that it's hope that will keep us moving forward. And it's the actions of you and your listeners and involving the entire community. That's where we find our hope, and that's where we make the world a better place for our kids. Thank you.
Hands off our children. They belong to us. Given to us as a gift. To raise and cultivate their talents and gifts. We love them. Hands off, don't touch like both elbows are missing. The mission through the voice of this rap is save our children. Innocent minds and lives on the road to redemption. Sick and twisted, family saying bye bye, baby. Amber alert, this world gone stone cold. Crazy things about to change. Yeah, we go to war, we gon' kill you with love. Forgive is what we gotta do. Nobody wins in the end. Meet the real truth. Amen. Amen. Hands off our children. Yeah, they belong to us. Yeah.
I'm not afraid to take a stand. Everybody, come take my hand, We'll walk this road together through the storm, whatever weather, cold or warm. Let me know that you're not alone. Holla if you feel like you've been down the same.
Go to handsofourchildren.org and subscribe to our newsletter to receive updates on upcoming events, shows, volunteer opportunities, implementing tougher punishments, and our call to action. Join the movement.
You are now tuned in to Hands Off Our Children radio show. We are now in full effect. Let's get them, y'all.
I'm not afraid.
Yeah. It's been a ride. I guess I had to go to that place to get to this one. Now some of you might still be in that place. If you're trying to get out, just follow me. I'll get you
down the same road.
I'm trying to be great, and I'm on my way. Way up, way up, way up. It's never too late, and I'm on my way.
I'ma leave my mark. Ready, set, go. Ready, set, go. Ready, set, go.
Hey, what's up, everybody? How y'all doing? We back right now. Welcome back to the Hands Off Our Children radio show. I'm your host, Koji. Let me tell you, this has really been a very powerful show. And, you know, like I said, we had another guest that was coming in today. We had another young lady that was going to talk about domestic violence. But she was the young lady that was bringing on the domestic violence on the guys. Now, what we done, we asked her, can we reschedule her to next week? Because, like I said, I got Cephus, Uncle Bobby Johnson on. He's the uncle of Oscar Grant. And, you know, the young man who got, killed and at Fruitvale Station. So I didn't want to stop this. I didn't want to stop the flow because I feel like Uncle Bobby didn't get to say everything and he didn't get to say his piece. We ain't talked about, his organization. We ain't talked about the campaign. And I didn't want him to get away, without talking about all that. And I really want to do justice for this family, for the Grant family, with this show. So this show really means a lot to me, everybody, talking about bringing peace. Title of the show today, like I said, violence is never the key. We're trying to talk about finding a medium somewhere in the middle where we both can go home at night. The officers can go home, but our young black men and our young black women, they can also come home. And that's why it's a very serious situation here. This is a serious conversation. And, I want everybody to get your pens, get your paper, and I definitely want you to write down what we're saying and lock this in your mind and lock it in your head. We're getting great information from Uncle Bobby. We're getting great information from Miss Dow. And, like I said, the community is going to speak out. We got Miss Elsa Prado, who's on the line all the way from Chicago, and she works in the court system with the juveniles, and she hears a lot and sees a lot, and she'll be speaking on a lot of stuff too. So, Uncle Bobby, how you doing today, sir?
I'm doing well, thank you, Koji, and I really appreciate you allowing your listeners to hear my voice today, and and to share our not only our pain and our loss, but what we've been doing and moving forward.
Yes, sir. Do you feel like in the first hour, the hour that you came in, do you feel like we got a lot out there and we moving forward to something?
I do. I did want to kind of address one thing I think didn't quite come out in the first hour, and your guest also kind of mentioned it about more people coming on the police force, and it's not so much the people want to come on the police force. It's the culture have to change. I got 6 points that I believe that actually can help that happen, and that is one, that piece of legislation called the Peace Officer Bill of Rights has to be X'd out. It has to go away, because this is what's allowing the officers to turn a blind eye to the abusiveness that's happening within police departments all across this country. And California specifically has extra padding under Penal Code 832.6 and 832.7. You can look those up, but it is basically what it's saying is that whatever's in an official folder of that officer cannot be used in a criminal trial against him. So if an officer's got 72 police brutality complaints filed against him, and here I am in trial, and I'm complaining about this officer, I can't utilize that information. That's wrong. So accountability is critical. An officer must be held accountable if they're wrong in their act. Transparency is critical, because everything that we know happened behind the scenes in the police department, we don't get to know. So we got all types of criminal activity taking place, but yet the community is denied to know it. If we had an independent auditor with the rights to fire a police officer for being found guilty for the wrongs he committed, there's another avenue of police officers being held accountable. Citizen oversight committees with real power, not their teeth pulled out and they just a makeshift piece of organization to make it look like they're doing something for the community, but give the citizens the right to investigate fully an alleged shooting and thereby have the right to fire that officer. Let the community make those decisions. We'll get rid of the bad officers and keep the good ones. You know what I'm saying? And we also got to say, lapel cameras must become a requirement. It can't be no ifs, ands, buts about it. The best documentation is video and audio. So in the context, having audio and video of a police stop, if that officer is out of control, like the officer that beat up the old sister on the freeway in L.A., that old woman did not need to be hit like that. That officer should be in jail. Because had I jumped on that old sister like that and been punching her like that, you know where I'll be at? I'll be locked up, probably getting 5 or 6 years. That's real domestic violence there.
You got that.
That's complete real assault. That's really an attempt to kill someone.
Up close and personal. Up close and personal.
You see what I'm saying? Not held accountable. Nobody wants to see officers kill us, beat us down, and then nothing be done to them.
So, Uncle Bobby, this is the retired police officer again. I didn't want us to get mixed up, me and Foxy up in here.
I'm not saying anything.
I know she just sitting here going, mm-hmm. Okay. But no, I really appreciate what you're saying, sir. And the thing about that is, I agree with the lapel mics. I agree with the videos. I agree that officers should be held accountable. I agree with, and actually here in Las Vegas Metro, we have internal affairs that does investigations. There have been officers that have been terminated for excessive use of force and things such as that. And there also is a citizens committee that is in place here in Las Vegas. So what you're saying is nothing unreasonable in the way of a request to go across the line, across the country. I'll give you, you happen to be, with me being from the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department, we're one of the cutting edge our cutting edge police departments with extensive training for our officers, and so much so that Albuquerque, New Mexico sent their folks here to be trained. Reference high numbers of officer involved shootings that were going on. They came here to see our example of how we brought down our officer involved shootings. To me, I think what is so important is not only all the oversights that you mentioned, which I do not find unreasonable at all, because our job is supposed to be transparent and we are supposed to be accountable, because as I had mentioned in the first hour we were trained and told that we were to behave as if we were on video camera all the time. That was how we were trained, though, people knew that wasn't existing, and so some people were able to step outside and misbehave. That was those handful of people. And once citizens did come forward and make it known that they were behaving this way, supervisors took action. I can give you only examples from Metro because that's where I know from in-house. The other thing I wanted to say is citizen involvement to me is very, very important. We have had involvement with our NAACP and other folks like that do oversight and are very close and work closely with our sheriff here. And if something goes on or there's a complaint that they feel was inappropriately handled, the sheriff will meet with the president of the NAACP and speak with them. And the same thing with our Latin and Asian community. We also have a very close affiliation with our faith-based groups where they affiliate together, and if they have a particular concern, they bring it to the sheriff and the police is open to that. So that's something about our organization, that we are very community oriented and very community concerned, to the point where we have a captain from the Nevada Black Police Association that is the captain of our Bolden Area Command, and pretty much most of his staff by choice are people of color. They choose to go to that particular substation because that is an area of our town that is a high concentration of African Americans. And they're not being assigned there on purpose. They're choosing to go there to serve their community. The thing for me, though, is I don't think we should go with segregation. I think we should go with education. And that is to make all police officers, regardless of what color they are, to be highly educated in how to deal with the citizens in the community that they serve.
That's right. You right about that. Now hold on. Let me do this, Uncle Bobby. We got a caller in. I want to go to Rachel.
Hello.
Rachel, how you doing today?
Good. How are you, family?
I'm doing fine. You want to make a comment?
Yes, I do actually. I wasn't going to, but I have been listening to the show, and I have to agree that Metro here locally has done many things just recently, including the faith-based community, to be able to help their officers to have better community relations. I think it's important to know and to note that, as a mother of a teenager and also of young African-American children, I do not want to raise my children to believe that they should live in fear of the police. But I did get a chance to watch that video, Uncle Bobby, and, again, I'm appalled. I am appalled. I do believe as parents it's important for us to teach our children as well that there are good and bad in everything. And also, home training begins in the home. So if they don't respect their parents, they don't respect their teachers, they're not going to respect the police. And though, Oscar's situation is different, here locally, a lot of times you have young people who, because of the racial profiling and things that have happened in the past, they feel they could just talk to police any kind of way. They could tee them off, flip them off, call them out their name. I mean, just stuff that wouldn't be acceptable in their own homes. And so, I know, Coach, one of your main focuses is it takes a village.
That's right.
We have to be able to reach out to young people, even if their parents don't, and to remind them that, these are still the police. It doesn't matter how you feel about them. It doesn't even matter how you look at them. I heard you guys saying earlier we need to teach them to just keep their mouth shut.
That's
don't
right.
say nothing.
That's right. That's what I want.
Get out of their lives.
That's right.
Basically, and be able to report that to somebody who's going to be able to help you.
That's right.
But I did have to call and just say that, I have to say that Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department are taking many, many measures right now to make sure that, that they have much, much more community engagement, community relations. They're building different coalitions in areas, including the churches. Pastors are very, very important if if we want to get this right in the community. The police can't do it alone. So I'm proud of our police department for at least taking that initiative and saying, hey, you know what, we have a problem. How are we going to fix this? We're going to involve everybody. So I do appreciate that. So
right.
I appreciate what you do, Koji.
You know what? Thank you for calling in, and I'm glad when our listeners engage in the conversations because, Rachel, let me tell you something. Do you know how many people see me out and they go, Koji, I love the show, man. I loved when you said this. And I was sitting on the phone and I was thinking to myself, and I said, you know what you just said to me was beautiful. That was a great answer of what you said, but I needed you to say it on the air. I need the community to speak out, and you know what? I'm so thankful for you today.
Yes,
I'm so thankful
Rachel.
for your phone
I appreciate
call.
that comment.
Well, not a problem. I usually listen, just kind of ear hustle, and it's a longer show, and I have children. They do homework and stuff. But this time, this is something that's near and dear to my heart, especially when working with youth. And again, I watched the video, and I just had to call in today. But I do appreciate everything you do with our kids, and it's not by coincidence. And you guys keep doing what you're doing, Uncle Bobby. I can't wait to hear the details on the foundation, so that again, we can help with that any way we can. And
That's right.
No death is ever in vain if we don't let it be.
That's right. You're right about that. And we all are one family, if not by blood, but under love.
There you go.
Absolutely.
And I mean that, definitely. That's why I say on this show, it's all about family. We don't bamboozle on this show. We ain't joking and playing. We getting down to the heart of the matter because we are here to teach, and we trying to preserve life. And the best way to preserve life is sometimes we have to teach people how to live in this life. Because nowadays, like you said, children are growing up alone. They're growing up by themselves. They're growing up to where, hey, it's almost like I got to feel my way through this lifetime. And however it goes down, hey, it's how I got to, live in this life and defend my way through. But I want elders. Yeah. I want elders to come up, and we need to save the Oscar Grants, the Trayvon Martins, all the other kids. There's no color lines on this show when it comes down to saving a child. But when we get on this show, I really want us to put that work in, and let's talk right, and let's give the great information, and let's really, truly come to do what we come to do on this radio show. Let's save lives.
Yes.
And I mean
I appreciate you for that, and I appreciate what you guys do.
Thank you. Have a nice day.
All right. God bless.
All right. We're going to go to Christina real quick. Christina, how you doing? Thank you for calling into the Hands Off Our Children radio show.
Hi. I am calling from Sacramento, and I am in the anti-police brutality movement. And my cousin was killed by a police officer in 2011. His name is Ernest Duenas Jr. I work with Uncle Bobby and other families all across the country in regards to the situation. And I had a comment really quick. I just want to say that, I know that it's really easy for police officers and their representatives to spin things a lot of times. And I was actually just reading an article today about how much money is actually put in to police officers and like the PR spin machine that they engage in order to, help, quiet down the community and make it seem as if what they're doing is the work that they're doing is really, trying to help. And I just want to say that, they have to realize that we have a problem. I listened to the lady that's on your show, the ex-police officer, and the problem I have is that it seems that the only time police officers ever speak up is when they get fired or when they retire. And that's a really big problem. That needs to change. More people who are in the job need to, and why is that? Is it because the money is too good for them? What is the reason? Is it because there's not a way for them to do it? Is it because, they will be retaliated against? But we need officers who are in the job to be speaking out about the things that are not happening, as they should be in regards to dealing with the public.
Right. Now, okay, go ahead, Christina, real quick. Go ahead, and then I want to say something to you. No, but go ahead. I don't want to stop your flow. Go ahead and do your thing, because I am going to let Miss Dow speak up for herself and say why she's speaking out right now. But what you don't know is her backstory is that she did speak out as a police officer. She really did. But I want her to talk to you, but I still want you to go ahead and continue your flow, because that's what this show's about. We want to hear the community speak out, and you're doing a great job. Go ahead.
Oftentimes that is what we see. And, groups like NAACP and faith-based organizations, well, that's, great and maybe a starting point. Those groups a lot of times appease the police departments. And so we want to see, like, I personally am working on a project in Sacramento where we've been trying to have town hall meetings with our police, but they're just not being real with the situation. And again, it's like this whole PR spin machine. Like, we're reaching out to the community and, we're doing this and we're doing that, but it's not real change. It's not the change that's needed. It's not the hard conversations that need to be had. The fact that we have police officers who are brutalizing and murdering people in cold blood, that police officer today on the news who tased a woman in her belly, a pregnant woman in her belly in New York.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like, these lunatics need to be taken out. We're not talking about a few bad apples. We're talking about a whole tree that is totally infested and rotten, and there might be a good fruit once in a while.
Right.
But for the most part, you know, let's not be, you know, I just hate the fact that we're going to have a conversation about things like this is real, and this is not, you know, something that is, it could be fixed with a community NAACP or at a church, because a lot, like I'm saying, those people like to appease the police and like to be friends with them and don't want to really deal with the issue at hand.
Right.
So what we're dealing with is crazy people who need to be drug tested, need to have oversight, and like Uncle Bobby said, real oversight.
I agree
and I am
with that.
actually familiar with what's happening in Las Vegas, and you know, I can even say even there, I don't think what's happening there is really what needs to be happening to make real change.
You know what, Christina? I definitely agree with the alcohol and drug test. I think just like our athletes have to do it, well, these are people who are controlling and protecting our lives. We want people to have a level head when they're protecting our lives. So I do agree with you on that. With the drug testing and alcohol, they should have to do it just like the athletes do. You're right about that. Now, I want Ms. Dow real quick. You can speak on your situation better than me when she said she feels like the only time that police officers come out and speak is when they retired. You know, they're no longer on the force and they're gone. Then all of a sudden they got something to say. But you can tell your story better than me, Ms. Dow.
No, but look at how Koji said real quick. He gonna put me in a little box for a quick response. But no, I wanted. There's a couple of things she said really quick. She said the thing about testing is before I retired, I was a detective with the domestic violence detail, and as a detective and also as police officers, we were required to have random tests for drugs and alcohol. So for you to say that you require that we should be required, it is a requirement for my police department, and patrol officers can be pulled off the street and tested at random as their name is pulled. So that does already occur. The other thing that she was talking about is that she was saying that you got the impression that it was kind of, I'm not going to say this is exactly what you said, but for show when the police are involved with the NAACP and the faith-based community. I will have to disagree with that because I believe that is collaboration. And when I was still on the police department, I also did public speaking outside of my job and inside of my job as a domestic violence detective to communities and citizens and also to African American groups. And it had nothing to do with any fear whatsoever within me because I'm very real about my experience as a police officer, as the second black female on my police department. If you had listened from the beginning, you will hear that I had said that I've come on scenes before and addressed things that were being done on the scene. And that is because, you know, I was still a police officer in uniform in the midst of other police officers. It was not after the fact. It was not when I retired. You know, I left my department in great standings. In fact, the county and the state of Nevada named a day after me. February 1st, 2012 was named after me, and February 2nd, 2012 was named after me for my community activism.
And I'm trying to get her back in there right now. That's what we've been talking about off the air. I told Ms. Dow, we need you back in the police force right now. We need her back in.
And well, can I
go ahead, Christine.
Well, I just have one question, because it takes a lot for me to be impressed by a police officer now or ex-police officer, because I probably know way a lot more than the normal citizen does. But the thing about it is, what did you do in regards to police domestic violence? Because police officers are you know, their families are 4 to 5 times more likely to be abused than anybody else being abused, and yet, you know, these things are not being addressed.
And what did I do to answer your question?
When things are addressed with the public, they need to be addressed with the police as well. And police officers talking to communities about domestic violence but not doing anything about it in their own department, that's a problem.
I've handled several police domestic violence cases.
I agree with what she said, though. I agree with that. You know,
I've handled, but here's the thing: I've handled several police domestic violence cases.
She said that's what she's seeing now.
But I'm not saying that it doesn't exist. It's a true story that it does exist.
Right.
And the thing is, we handle it just like we would handle if we got a police report that said that a police had molested a child or a police had committed a sexual assault. That we handle that as detectives in a specialized detail, just the way we would handle any other call as a police. This person is a citizen violating. So what if they're a police officer? So we still did do investigations against internal police officers committing domestic violence and other crimes.
Okay, hold on 1 second, everybody. Hold on 1 second. Miss Elsa Prado from Chicago, how you doing today?
I am good, Koji. How's everyone over there?
We doing fine, thank you. Tell them what you with, Elsa. You can break it down real quick.
Well, I've worked, for many, many years as a judicial court interpreter, so I've seen all these different aspects in the courtrooms of all the stuff that you guys are talking about. And I can also tell you that in the city here in particular, they are taking all kinds of measures because of the incidents that have occurred
in Chicago
with police, brutality and, things getting out of hand with the citizens, basically. So, yeah, I think that it's a recognized problem.
Right.
The violence, it's all supposed to be, you know what I mean? Like the tactics used have to have limitations. There's boundaries with that. And when they step out of bounds, which we've seen, because now people are getting caught on video and we're getting, the whole thing, televised and, on video and all kinds of different areas now with all the stuff that we have. Now I think it's more at the forefront. People can see this, where in the past it wasn't, visible. It wasn't seen. But I also worked in the Chicago Police Department. I could tell you I was one of the people that used to have to assist the administrator strip the police of their powers.
Wow. Now, Elsa, real quick, I want to go to you and I want to ask you a question real quick, and then we're going to go back to Uncle Bobby real quick. I want to, and Christina, I want you to stay on the line, okay? Christina?
I'm here. I put you on mute.
Oh, okay. I want you to stay on the line with me. Don't leave. Now, I want to go to Elsa real quick. Elsa, from the community's standpoint of view, we don't understand what you and Miss Dow, what y'all hear on the inside of her on the police force and you in the court system hearing what's going on. And like with Uncle Bobby's situation, with his nephew, Oscar Grant, who was murdered by a police officer, handcuffed with his hands behind his back and shot in the back. Elsa, right. What do these families go through when they feel like, and they know for a fact that their children have been murdered, not shot in justified reasons, but murdered? And when they fight in these cases, what are these families truly going through? Let the public hear this from the inside.
For them, they're going through hell, sheer hell, because now you have to disprove the authority. And, being able to prove it, how our laws are. You got to prove it beyond a reasonable doubt. Even when it's very heavily. Even when
it's on video.
Exactly. Even when it's on video.
Caught red-handed.
Yes.
Wow.
So it is. I do understand, and I do know that for these people that have had to experience that, it is very difficult. I mean, look, Koji, look how hard it is just with the children's cases.
Right. That's right.
Even though these kids are just about half dead, they get put back into the hands of the perpetrators, into the hands of the people that molested them, that hurt them.
That's right. You're definitely right about that. Now, let me do this real quick. Thank you, Elsa. Let me go to Uncle Bobby real quick. Uncle Bobby.
Yes, sir.
What have you thought about what you've been hearing right now? That's why I wanted you to hear it for a minute, and now I want you to come and chime in on it.
Right. So what I'll do is I'll talk a little bit about our experience in the court, and then what we're doing today as far as, our relationship with families that have suffered the same crime.
All right.
And before I even start, I want the listeners to go to the Ernest Duenas video. Please take a look at that video. That's the video that Christina mentioned when she came on the line about her cousin. Ernest, E-R-N-E-S-T, Duenas, D-U-E-N-E-Z. Look at that video. If your listeners can look at that video, they can definitely understand Christina's passion, my passion, and every family's passion when it comes to our loved ones being murdered.
That's right.
Anyhow, so basically, in listening to everything, the speaker right before me talked about the family going through hell, going through the criminal justice system. And that is absolutely true. It's one thing when your family is murdered, your loved one is murdered. But it's another thing when the criminal justice system is allowed to criminalize your loved one, dehumanize your loved one, even demoralize your loved one to justify that shooting. I mean, it is pure hell. our first day in court, Judge Robert Perry told us that if we do not make the community go away, he will make this case last 5, 7, 10 years until all those people go away.
Wow.
He put it on us to try to make the crowd go away. I'm going to tell you, we did not make the crowd go away. Visibility is critical when it comes to police crimes. And so if a person and a family want justice, the community must be involved.
That's right.
I'm going to give you another piece of the criminal trial. The very middle part of the criminal trial, when the defense was making an argument, the reason why Johannes Mesley shot Oscar was because he was resisting arrest. They took the silhouette where the bullet went through his body and made the argument that because of the angle of the bullet, it shows that Oscar had his left shoulder up. The bullet traveled in approximately this particular angle, thereby substantiating what we're saying he was resisting arrest. And then they named that exhibit KKK. Now listen to what I'm saying. Every piece of exhibit is normally in chronological order or alphabetical order. KKK was not chronological nor alphabetical in order. And the judge allowed the defense to name it KKK. That was a straight stab in the face. And every reporter in there put their head down because they had been getting admonished for blatantly sharing with the world what was happening inside that courtroom.
Wow.
And they did not report it on a mass media basis. You hear what I'm saying? This is just facts that I'm giving you.
Wow.
And then the last day in court, I'm going to say the last day, then I want to tell you what the jury did. But the last day in court, Judge Robert Perry told us, my God, this is not about black and white. We gave you a black president. We just gave you a black president. Judge Robert Perry made that statement to us and every person sitting in that courtroom that this case was not about black and white. How could it be? We gave you a black president. You hear what I'm saying?
And he straight out said, we gave you a black president.
Said that. Now, what kind of system are we living in when it comes to us going into that system in hoping to get justice?
So basically, that sounds like that case was going to be a trade out.
Let me tell you what else happened. I mean, and it's just sad that the realities of this is real, but our case, the jury came back with a guilty verdict on the gun enhancement charge. We didn't like it, but the jury felt it was an involuntary manslaughter charge. They found him guilty. But they also found him guilty for the gun enhancement charge, which is a automatic 10 years. So the minimum he was supposed to do was 12 years, because an involuntary manslaughter sentence in the state of California is 2, 3, or 4 years. Depending on the degree of the judge feeling about the person that did it, can be 2 years, or can be 3 years, or can be 4 years. But that gun enhancement charge is a mandatory sentencing of 10 years, where the judge claimed he erred in his instructions to the jury. And therefore, he said, because I erred, I am really troubled with this verdict, I got to throw it out. And he threw the gun enhancement out and gave him 2 days served for every single day he was in jail, reduced his time down to 11 months. He did 11 months. He was put on what you call non-revocable parole. What is non-revocable parole? Non-revocable parole means that if a defendant meets certain criteria, he can go on non-revocable parole only at the discretion of the judge. And if he gets out of, or when he gets out of jail, he has no contact with the police for 1 year, his felony automatically falls off the record. He is like, for a police officer, he can now go back and get his gun and reapply at the same police agency he was fired from. This is just real. You hear what I'm saying? That officer today, Johannes Mesley, is walking around in somebody's community with a gun on his side, and he murdered Oscar Grant. This is real. You know, and this is the type of system we're dealing with. So Johannes Mesley said he made a mistake with his gun instead of his taser. Judge Robert Perry said he made a mistake by giving his instructions wrong to the juror. You know, so the whole system, district attorneys cannot fairly prosecute police officers. They work together every day prosecuting us, the community.
Can I ask you a question?
When it comes to prosecuting their very own, they tiptoe, they manipulate the law, and they don't convict. That's why every single shooting is a justifiable homicide.
Can I ask you a question, Uncle Bobby?
Is broke.
Can I ask you a
You know
question?
what I'm saying? The system is broke. Darren Wilson, who killed Michael Brown, in our eyes, it's an easy shut door type case. That man committed murder.
That's right.
But we're dealing with a racist criminal justice system. That white boy may walk. They right now put it off to make a decision to January. Why is that? They think they're going to diffuse the community feelings about this case. What they're doing is they're angering the community because accountability is not being held. We have a system within this criminal justice system that has denied black people to right to life. And brown. I can't forget our Latino brothers and sisters because they're being tore up just as much.
Got that right.
The United States is 5% of the world's population, but yet it has 25% of the prison population. That is a fact. We know that there's 2.4 million men locked up in these prisons in the United States, and over 60% is black and brown men. That is a fact.
Uncle Bobby, let me ask you a question real quick. If this cop does beat the charge and he walks, what have you heard in the community, how they feel about it, or what they feel they going to do if this happens?
You know what? It will be a turning point because the militarization of the police is real.
That's right.
And Ferguson is a test for the militarization of the police department across this country. They are tempting us to respond in such a negative way that they can really fully run the test that they need to run to make sure that the state becomes more of a police state. These are, we got to look at the realities of what's happening. Is the United States becoming a police state? The militarization that is happening with the police departments all across this country is unreal. They don't have just weapons. They have military weapons. They had what you call urban shield in California just this year that we protest, and we were successful to get them to not ever come, well, I won't say ever come back, but they won't be back next year, testing all the military type of equipment that the police department buys, bullets that can go turn around a corner. You know what I'm saying? Stuff that we don't even know exists. They're getting the test, and they're being equipped with it. Who are they equipping themselves to fight against? The police. I'm talking the police equipping themselves with military gear to fight who?
The community.
Do you want that question actually answered? Because here's the thing. I don't know if you're not familiar with Las Vegas, but Sergeant Henry Prendez was gunned down with an automatic weapon. That was when the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police got an eye open that our officers were not armed with the same caliber of weapons that the people who were assaulting us were. So, and he's not the first person, this guy who took the life of Sergeant Henry Prendez is not the first person we had encountered that had automatic and used automatic weapons against the police department, and we are armed with handguns. Now, we are in a generation right now where we are in a terrorist bubble. We literally are. Even the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department has been on alert, reference this ISIL stuff that's going on. So this is the reality of the people who are tasked with protecting and serving. We're talking about, and trust me, I'm not belittling any of these encounters that we're talking about. These are citizen encounters. But we, too, as the police, are also the ones that are called to deal with active shooters and to deal with terrorist activities. And we need to be trained to be able to handle both the lesser and the greater, because we are that thin line, that blue line that you were talking about, that is armed and trained to defend.
And I think that one thing, if I can say something. Can I say something?
If I can add, the United States is technologically brilliant. We can put things on Mars. If we wanted to stop the flow of weapons in our community, we can do it.
That's right. I agree.
I disagree with that, because who's going to turn in? We have already done that.
If we wanted to stop the flow of weapons in our community because we fear that the community is going to be outpowering the police department and the army because they got these high-grade anti-tank launchers and, Uzis and all these type of weapons. Stop the flow.
How do you?
Because what you're doing is justifying the militarization of the police. We understand that people get those weapons, but it ain't like we got planes. It ain't like we got boats. It's not like we going overseas to get those weapons. Those weapons are being brought into the community. When the police department have these police buybacks, if you really want to clean up weapons in the community, pay for them. You give $100, $200 for this gun and that gun. Well, continue to do it because you're cleaning up the neighborhood when you do it. Buy all them guns back. But the reason why that won't happen, NRA, we're dealing with people that want weapons in this world. We got children. Remember this. In Kmart, just recently, a young man was shot in Walmart for picking up a toy gun.
That's right.
We had Andy Lopez right here in Santa Rosa, California, 13 years old, with a toy gun. We had Nicholas Hayward in the Bronx in New York. He's 9 years old with a toy gun. Even had the red cap on it, gunned down. We got officers that can't even distinguish between a toy gun and a real gun and killing babies. We're talking about a 5-year-old wearing a holster with a gun, shot by a police officer because he thought the child had a real gun. If we fear weapons like that, and we got to kill our babies, then we need to stop the flow of weapons. There's no question about that we can't do it. We can do it because we could do everything. We can make drones and drop on innocent people in different countries. We can stop the flow of weapons. There's no excuses for what's happening in this society except for the society is purposely creating a military police state. This armory that they have is like they're going to be fighting a military in the hood. Brothers don't have nothing but a couple of pea shooters. Okay. We don't have no rocket launchers and no grenade launchers. We don't have no tanks.
Okay.
We don't have no helicopters.
Okay, hold on. What we need to do, because we got to move fast. We got 10 minutes in the show.
Can I say something really quick because I have to leave?
Go ahead, real quick.
Okay, this is Christina again. So
right.
what I want to say is that, first of all, the U.S. murder rate is on the track to be the lowest in a century, and yet police murdering our civilians is highest than it's ever been in the history of the world. And so I just don't accept that answer as far as why we're being militarized, because one officer being shot down like that, if that police department is so concerned that their officers being killed, then what they need to do is they need to put more restrictions on the way that they drive around, because the number one the way that police officers are killed in this country is by them getting in accidents. So the things that the police officers come up with in their PR spin machine, it doesn't make sense. Because if you're militarizing because an officer was killed, what are you doing to help all the other officers, way more, who have been killed because they get in car accidents, because they drive around like they can do whatever they want, or they get on high-speed chases unnecessarily, or maybe they just get in an accident, I don't know. But whatever it is, we need more safety measures for the way that they drive. The second way that they get killed, that they die, is at the hand of their own, at their own hand, by committing suicide is a very large rate in the way officers die. So I think that the police department has much greater issues in the fact that one officer was killed, and I don't know the situation around that, than to militarize a whole police force and to put a whole city under siege. That's my 2 cents.
Hold on. Don't hang up. I want you to stay on because my producer wants to talk to you. And if you're not busy, next week I want you to come on as my guest.
Sure, I'd be happy to.
Okay, I'll stay on the phone, and she's ready to get on the phone with you, and you give her your information, and we definitely going to talk to you off the air about next week, all right?
Thanks.
Thank you very much for being on today.
Okay, there's two sides to every story, and I respect Christina's her opinion. When she mentioned about officers being killed in car crashes and accidents, and also by suicide, that's a very true statement. That's the reality of being a police officer in this society, and it's not publicized. So for her to say, personally, since Sergeant Henry Prendez was my friend and partner, and the way he died did impact the law enforcement community, just like when incidents happen to citizens that are injured, such as the BART shooting. When the BART shooting occurred and this officer used the explanation that he grabbed his taser and thought it was his gun, throughout the law enforcement community, there was a mandate that tasers be carried on a different side so the officer would clearly know what was their taser and what was their gun. That's an example of how a single incident can change an entire society or nation.
Right.
So I do not want Sergeant Henry Prendez's brutal murder to be belittled, because just as I respect and was able to look at the video of Christina's cousin being his life being taken, and my heart goes out to the family, I think we should also know that it works on the other side for law enforcement when we lose officers, and changes do happen on both sides. So with that said, I understand this has been becoming kind of heated, and what I really want to say is I really want to see the community and the police having more of a dialogue and more of an understanding as to what goes on in the mindset and in the head of the other officer. Because even as I was sitting here with Foxy and watching the video of Ernest's situation, and she was looking at me and asking me why particular things were occurring in this video, and me as a police officer, I was totally unable to understand. I couldn't vocalize to her because we're inside the studio here, but I could see why particular things the officers on the scene were doing that they were doing. Yet I could also see from Foxy's reaction why she was appalled and didn't understand why something else wasn't being done instead of what was being done. So that's why I think it's so key that we do have the two different perspectives, and that we take a moment to listen to each other, because the loss of a life is serious on one side or the other.
It's still a loss regardless.
Yes.
Right. Now, what I want to do real quick, I want to go to you, Uncle Bobby. And Uncle Bobby, real quick, I want you to tell us about Love Not Blood campaign.
Sure. Thank you, Koji.
All right.
So one of the things that we do today, we address gun violence. Gun violence is specifically whether it be police violence or community violence, just gun violence. And so we work with the families that suffered this crime or this harm, that experienced this traumatic event. And so I tell you how I got started. It was really painful what happened in the trial with Oscar Grant. And, sentencing was on November 5th of 2010. On November 7th, as we came back home from L.A., because our trial had been moved to L.A., it had a change of venue. When we came back to the Bay Area, Oakland, Derek Jones was shot 6 times in the back. And I was so heartbroken that I felt like we failed, because it was so important that this officer be held accountable. And yet, 2 days after his sentencing, another young man is shot in the back. And so I went to the family. I met Derek's mother and father, the family, and I embraced them, because I tell you, it was the community that loved us, that embraced us, that allowed us to lay our heads on their shoulders, that stood with us, that cried with us, that went back and forth to court with us, and that community utilized their First Amendment right to speak to the very injustice of Oscar being murdered, because we were voiceless, because we were in pain, we were traumatized and heartbroken and angry. And because the community allowed us enough time to breathe, and find some balance and walk in and to really analyze what happened, it put me on this quest to always share that same love to a family that suffered this harm. So wherever I can get, many family calls us today, we can't get to all of them because this is happening at an unprecedented rate. But wherever we can go, we go, and I was the first to meet Michael Brown's father. I was the first to meet Tracy Martin, Trayvon Martin's father. I was the first to meet Frank Graham, Ramali Graham's father. And I just thank God that he put that on my heart to engage these men. So it becomes real critical for me today, and this is where Love Not Blood is doing the work, is to engage these families to help them emotionally begin this journey of justice, or to begin this journey of healing. It's important for us to engage our youth and to share with our youth how important it is to first love yourself, because we really believe and know that when we begin to love ourselves again, then we will really change the whole condition of what's happening, not just with us in our community, but what's happening in this world. And so we're about really bringing back the love into the community, engaging families, helping them find balance to walk through their traumatic experience, and working with young people, they help them deal with the anger that they are feeling and experiencing with the way society has been criminalizing them. And I've been blessed because of the movie to be on many different panels to speak in regards to Fruitvale Station. Because Fruitvale Station, when Ryan Coogler, who really directed the movie, took it to Forrest Whitaker.
That's right.
Forrest Whitaker liked the idea, and he called us up and said he had a young man he wanted us to meet. And we met Ryan. Before Ryan came, many others came talking about doing a movie, and we wasn't feeling it. You know what I'm saying? But Ryan came in a spirit. He was young like Oscar, and he talked about the love of Oscar. And so Fruitvale Station, what we needed as a family was for the world to see that we loved Oscar, that Oscar was a human being, that Oscar loved his daughter, that he loved his friends, that he loved his family, that he had a right to life, and that what he experienced in his life was nothing different than what any other young black man is experiencing today in this society. That's why the movie resonates with many and many and many of black folks, because we understand the challenges that our young people have to go through. They have to make real serious decisions and choices, and yet, even if they make a bad choice, they have a right for redemption. You see what I'm saying?
That's right.
And just because we have a society, especially white supremacy, criminalizing us and justifying our killing is not right. And so we really advocate in changing that whole thought process. But it starts with us first, within ourselves and loving ourselves, So we talk to our Latino brothers and sisters. We talk to our blood brothers in the hood and our sisters in the hood. We're the ones that are dying at an unprecedented rate. They wasn't even lynching us as fast as they're killing us today. This is just a fact. And we got to be clear, and we got to say that over and over and over. It's a big thing now that all of a sudden these black football players are being caught up in domestic violence. All these changes are going to take place because they want to make sure that women have a right to life. Women have a right to be respected. Women have a right to not be punched by a man. Right. Well, young black men and brown men have a right to life. Young black and brown men have a right not to be hit over the head with a belly club because an officer assumed or perceived that he was going to be threatened by the young man. We have a right to life. And until we gain that respect back, we're heading in a real dangerous zone. We are at a state of emergency. This is no longer about us. It is about our children and their babies. Because if our children got it bad now, and we felt in our responsibility to change the conditions, then our grandbabies and their babies will not have any form of real existence in this sick world that we got established today.
Uncle
so
Bobby,
we got to fight for them, we got to die for them, and we got to mean it from our heart because we are at a state of emergency.
That's right. Uncle Bobby, we down to 3 minutes. Now, what I want to do, I'm going to have part 2 of this next week. Next week we're gonna have part 2, but I want you to call in and I want you to be a part of my team. And I'm bringing in a whole new slew of guests, but I want you to call in and be on the phone with us, Uncle Bobby. Okay, if you can.
I can. Let me just give the website really quick.
Okay, real quick.
You want to go to the website?
Yeah.
It's lovenotbloodcampaign.org. Lovenotbloodcampaign.org. And we can also be reached at 510-599-6357.
Okay.
510-599-6357.
Okay.
Well, and if I can, I'd like to thank you. I really appreciate what you're doing. You know, we just met, and I really, really think that you were fair, that you allowed our voices to be heard, and the listeners that have called in, I appreciate their response. And, you know, and I just thank the whole show for this time. This has been a really good 2 hours because, you know, I just got back from Jacksonville with Ron Davis, who's the father of Jordan Davis.
Right.
Just got off the plane, made it home, was able to make this radio show. And I have to say, you know, despite the fact that we were in court going through that madness again, this has really helped just put a smile back on my face.
Thank you, sir.
I hope your listeners got something out of it, and I hope they really realize what state we're in, because it's going to take all of us to change this.
Right. Well, what I want to do, Uncle Bobby, like I said, I'm going to give you a call after the show because I want to talk to you about something else. I got a plan I want to talk to you about. And me and you, we're going to keep this thing going. Now we family by love, not by blood. You know what I'm saying?
That's right.
But we family
That's
by
right.
love. And it takes a community. It takes a community to do this because, like I said, we want to, this show was all about violence is never the key. And that's what we want to get out there. But also we want to be respected in trying to take care and calm the violence down. All right?
That's right.
Okay.
That's right.
So, my brother, I'll call you after the show, and thank you very much for being on the show today.
Thank you, and to all your listeners, much love.
All right.
Thanks.
And Miss
And
Chaplain,
all the guests, too, on the show. Thank you.
all right,
Bye.
thank you.
Nice to meet you.
And Miss Chaplain Tamia Dow, thank you for being on today. You did a great job, and I can't wait till you come back. All right?
Thank you.
Much love to you. To everybody out there, violence is never the key. Much love to you. And y'all know how I fight for the community. I want peace. Much love to you guys, and I do it for you all.
Cross the line and there's no turning back. Told the world how he felt with the sound of a gas.
You have just listened to the Hands Off Our Children radio show every Wednesday from 1 to 4 with great guests with great information. If you like what you heard, go to handsoffourchildren.org and let's keep it going. This is one battle that we'll keep fighting every week at this same time. If this doesn't affect you, you are a part of the problem. Hands Off Our Children is now in full effect. Enough is enough.
I'm ready to back up everything I'm saying, and I'm through talking.
For me to sit here and give all kinds of excuses to make it right, I can't do. But what I want to ask everyone out there, everyone that has a child, everyone that has a brother or a sister, if your child or your family member was abducted today, if a madman came in, a terrorist came in, abducted your family member or your child, and if I said to you, I can bring your child home, does it matter how I bring them home?
Go to handsoffourchildren.org and subscribe to our newsletter to receive updates on upcoming events, shows, volunteer opportunities, implementing tougher punishments, and our call to action. Join the movement. 1 minute of your time can help save a child.
If you would like to donate or sponsor a show, visit the handsoffourchildren.org website and click on the donate button. No matter the amount, your donation helps us with our mission to bring safety to us kids. We appreciate your support.